physical. It's time to talk some piss and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, Blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see the laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is a media house stream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does that.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! Who's the Emilio!
You can never have enough physical media.
Bring it in. Bring it in.
Oops, I hit the wrong button.
That always gets me every time.
Oh, shit, I hit the wrong button again.
Now that's how you start a show, everybody.
Scribbles is in the house.
Yes, what's up, Scribe?
Hey.
Glad to see you there.
You want to come on talk some physical media, let me know.
Yeah, if you want to come on and just hang out with us, you can. We're always looking for a third. I did try to get the Michael Callio from the Anchor Bay on here tonight, but I don't think he can make it. I keep trying. I'm trying, folks. But yeah, welcome as always to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene, my fellow followers. With me tonight is my co-host. I was gonna say cohort in crime, Tom Connors. How are you doing?
Yes.
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen.
At $5 says that Predator's a woman. $5 says.
Okay, I don't know about that. I could ask somebody. Actually, I should. Because I know the guy who's I know a guy whose brother worked on the movie, so and he says to me that there is a bit of a separation between Fox and Disney, so maybe there's some hope for these things, but I don't know.
It just look horrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, maybe next time, Scribe. Maybe next time. But
no worries.
Yeah, no worries. Let's get into saying hi to the chat real quick, and then we'll get into some physical media glory. I salute you, good sir. Oh, well, hello there, Random.
You know what this show needs?
What's that?
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
You know what? I got something just for you. I don't know if I'll get a super chat or not, but I'm gonna go ahead, since we're on this little spill here real quick. This one's just for you, Tom. This is just for you.
Okay, I don't know what to do here.
See, that's something I would trick somebody into doing. I would never actually do that myself. But
you about died.
Oh God, no! I'm not that stupid. Like, I love soda, but not that much. That's the kind of thing I would pull on like somebody like as a prank, though. Totally.
I would do that too.
Yeah, I'm the kind of motherfucker you gotta watch out for sometimes. I am not above pulling pranks. That's true. That is pretty funny. So
that is good.
You get a face full of it here, folks. A face full of Coke.
Face full of Coke and Mentos.
Minty Coke.
Minty Coke. Well, hola, Ace Hanlon. Glad to see you here. And by the way, yes, I do. I did say to specialize in my post because I know that's what you're saying.
I had to nerd correct you with that.
Yes.
Actually,
they're 35mm scans.
Because I do have both versions. I have the despecialized. And for those who don't know, the difference is the despecialized. Harmy, the guy who made him, actually went in and did what George Lucas did to his movies to undo what he did. So through the use of, old footage, and now I guess he's used a lot of the 4K scans anyway, so it's almost kind of like the same thing. But that being said, like, yeah, he went in and used computers to undo a lot of that stuff by using old footage from like older versions of the movie that he could find and stuff like that, and built it up over time through various versions. But lo and behold, over the last few years, a group of people or a team of people have gotten together and actually found the best versions, release prints available of the original Star Wars films and scanned them in like 4K. So they're out there. I'm not exactly sure how you would get them, but I would suggest using Surfshark if you're going to. And if that's a hint at all, Army matey, if you know what I mean. Otherwise, yeah, sometimes you can just type in things like 4K 77 and a couple of clicks later, you might find your way to them.
Yeah. Luckily,
like, let's just say that. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, Tom and I know somebody. So,
yeah, we have a friend who did a great job
Yes.
doing a bang up version of them. So yeah.
Yes.
Did he send you the one with all like the special features and stuff
Yes,
too? Or?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
that's what I thought.
I haven't
That's what I
cracked
thought.
into them all yet, but they look like the ones you always show off. So
Yeah, he's got like there's like a 16mm scan of like from Star Wars to Jedi in there, which is the best that's ever looked, and some of the other special features that aren't available anywhere else.
yes, so I mean it's cool. I'm glad to have them. I haven't seen the originals like that in a long time, so I might watch them here sometime soon.
It's a different experience. Like it was weird the first time actually throwing on a few minutes of the original 4K 77 on my screen, because I've seen the despecialized editions and it's cool, you know, it's basically the original films, but seeing 4K 77 almost brought a tear to my eye, because I'm like, wait a minute, this looks like I remember Star Wars. Like, I mean, yeah, we've seen it in so many different variations over these years. It's I don't know how else to explain it. Like, it's a totally different looking film than what George has done to it over the years.
Yep.
And the newest versions of it look so cold, and they're so DNR'd to death. And don't even get me started on the prequel. So yeah, but anyhow, you got some more hellos to say. So yeah.
And at the buffet, welcome, and there you go. Just like Tom was saying, search the 4K 77, 4K 80, you'll find them. Hell to you, Brian Barth. What is up, Trevor Maurer? There you go. I hope we answered your question there as well about the 4K Star Wars as well. That post actually did pretty well for me, surprisingly. I don't really get a lot, you know.
Believe it or not, there's actually a version floating around out there. I don't know if I've got my hands on it yet. I don't think I have, unless I got it on a hard drive here, of Phantom Menace.
Oh, really?
Because for those who don't know, the original version of Phantom Menace has never been on home video.
That's right.
Because George altered that from the start. He added a pod race sequence to it that wasn't in the original movie, and some other little doodads here and there. And then he went and redid Yoda completely after the fact. I'm not saying that was one of the only things that I was kind of fine with.
Yeah, because the Yoda does not look good.
But otherwise, there's a few other minor tweaks and things that he changed between the release in theaters and home video, and so the version that's on home video now is the home video cut, basically. So yeah. And he did add a sequence in episode 2 as well, but it's just not as elaborate. It was just like one little bit.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
That's good old George Lucas.
We'll get into that kind of a thing here in just a few minutes, though, I think.
And Hail to You style selection. And yes, this might pop up tonight, too. The Last Tango in Paris, Brian Barth, that might pop up tonight as well, too.
Pop up?
Oui.
Go get the butter.
Get the butter.
That's exactly what he says.
Good evening to you, Tyrell72. Live long and prosper. Hail to you, Dragonzilla. Glad to see you. And as well, once again, glad to see you in the chat. Void King, good to see you. How many Blu-rays have we dropped over the years? Lots.
Dropped how?
Like in the opening, when you drop all of them.
Oh, fuck, all the time.
I drop them all the time.
God, the smartest thing they ever did was give Blu-rays that extra coating, because I've actually had some Blu-rays that have gotten permanent scratches on them somehow that I didn't even do anything to, but yet I've had some that I've dropped 20 fucking times the wrong way down. Not a problem.
My favorite is when you got a big old stack and you're going to your shelf and you take one, and also whatever that one you take, it just boom. You're like, son of a bitch.
Especially if they had like a tag card on it and it comes loose, so like the sticky thing gets stuck to another disc. You're 100% right. I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
But my issue is usually the cover that scratches the movie. I had Back to the Future I had a problem with. So that one I actually emailed Universal about and got a replacement for it back in the day. And because I bitched about their fucking case. enough that finally somebody sent me a new copy of Back to the Future. And the other one that I have that had that problem was Batman. Because it's in that diamond edition case where you literally just lay it in there like that Gremlins when I showed that one time, I think, on here. So you literally just lay the disc in there. So for years until I got the newer version, I had a skipped version of Batman. And I emailed Warner Brothers about it, and they didn't want to do anything to fix it at that time. So they're like,
what do we don't care.
What do you expect? It's like,
yeah.
I expect you to put it in a case that don't fucking scratch the movie. Like, how hard is that?
Exactly. What's up, Cowabunga dude? Glad to see you there. I don't get mine till tomorrow. But it will. It might pop up tonight as well. So, hell to you, John the Beagle. Dad, glad to see you. Look, everybody's got it but me. Everybody got it but me.
You know what I found out today? This is the actual truth. Men quote. I've noticed now ever since I seen that Babylon Bee article after Val Kilmer died.
Oh yeah,
where it said men celebrate the day or memorialize Val Kilmer by quoting Tombstone all day long, just like every other day. Me and my buddies all the damn time. I was talking to somebody today, and he sure as hell used a quote, and I'm like, motherfucker, I just got done watching it, and I'm like, and I said it to him, the same thing that I just said to you, and he's like, yep.
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 Wow, why I'm rolling.
Yeah. I just don't think I could bear it.
Johnny Ringo. Watch Johnny Ringo.
Yeah. Madcap.
It's great. It's true. I find
Doc,
myself.
I don't remember when you getting back in town.
Skin that smoke wagon.
Oh, Johnny, you're still there? I'm sorry, I forgot. You may go now.
It's such a good movie.
Oh, and leave the piece.
Yeah.
And leave the shotgun. Oh, thank you.
I find myself quoting Tombstone a lot, and I also find myself quoting Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation a lot.
Yes.
I'm like, anytime
are you serious, Clark?
Exactly.
That is in my
I
fucking.
say that a million times a day.
Some people look at me funny, but some people get. You know, the ones that get it, they're like, "Oh yeah, they've seen it enough times."
I've said that, like, people will ask me a question or tell me something, and I'll be like, "You serious, Clark?" Or the shitter's full. I'm saying that like
kids, they can fend for themselves.
Or I'll like to say, or when she used to rev up the microwave, I used to piss my pants. Now
forget my name for a half hour. Now I got the plastic plate. And I tell you, if that gets messed up, my part just ain't gonna look right.
Here, I'll say that when I comb my hair. My part would get all messed up.
Shitter's full. Who doesn't say that almost on a weekly basis?
It's like the manly thing to do. It's like Tombstone and
Merry Christmas. Shitter's full.
Hallelujah. Amen. Where's the Tylenol?
Oh no. No one's leaving. We're all in this together.
Or I'd like to get you something nice, Clark.
All right, let's.
Yeah. We better get to the chat.
Movies.
Psychonaut, glad to see you as well. Make sure
we got a bunch of announcements this week too. Actually,
Anthony Draven, glad to see you. Make sure I got everybody. Okay, I think we're all caught up. We got everybody. Okay,
sorry about that.
I thought.
Well, you got a good start. I was quiet as long as I could be. But all right, so let's start with the rumors. Let's go. We got Ace Ventura as a rumor. That's I think the only real rumor. Was there any more?
The Mask.
The Mask. That's the other one. I was gonna say. I know there was one more. I was trying to think of. But those have been. I'm surprised. I thought we were gonna get all those last year because that would have been the anniversary. Because '94 was the year that Jim Carrey had 3 movies come out that were huge: Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
And I thought we were gonna get the anniversary last year, but we didn't. But we are getting a 40th anniversary of St. Elmo's Fire, the Brat Pack classic from Sony, and Lionsgate is actually putting out Air America, not as an exclusive, I guess, from what I read. I guess it's a non-exclusive title, but it does look like a steelbook just the same. And then we got Jurassic Park trilogy and Jurassic World trilogy. Now, I know the first film is supposedly remastered in Dolby Vision. That does not mean they're new scans, and I'm still curious, because I've always heard, or it even says on Blu-ray.com, that Part 2 is an upconvert. Lost World. And of course, I think almost all of the fucking Jurassic World movies are. But that being said, so I don't think they're actually rescanning the films. I think they just did them in Dolby Vision. That was all they did. I'll be honest with you.
Probably.
I'm gonna order it because I'm a dumbass. We'll see if I get if I don't change my mind. But what else did we have? We had 28 days and 28 days later, or 20, yeah, right?
20. I saw 28
Or
days later for
28
4K,
days later is at least getting a release, yeah.
which is kind of stupid. Actually, it's really stupid for to put that on 4K. Period, because that was filmed with like early digital cameras.
That's
like,
what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, like 480 at most, if not a little more than that. And
I think they had some of the HD cams then, but I think you're right that a lot of it was shot in 480 or whatever. Yeah,
it would be better just to re-release the Blu-ray. I can't. I mean, I'll buy the 4K to see what it looks like. But I just can't see it.
I don't know if I could even bother wasting money on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm like even thinking myself. Like I have both of them. I'm pretty cool with it.
Yeah, and I think last week we mentioned Small Soldiers and Kick-Ass, so I think we're.
Which I heard Small Soldiers. Oh, yeah, Small Soldiers is sold out already.
Probably. I know they had the link up early, and then like I got mine. Amazon did have it available last I knew, so you might want to check there. Otherwise, yeah, there's a few places that still supposedly could have it. I'm sure Diabolic DVD and some of those.
Yeah, I'm sure they
copies. Will. But and then we got Primary Colors, which was a Shout Factory, I guess one that I don't know if that's official or not, but yeah, Arrow teased us with something because, of course, as always, they do theirs on Friday. And theirs was a picture of a golden cobra. So my guess, and I'm just spitballing here, I think it's probably going to be Cobra.
I would say you're probably right. Considering
because they got a pretty good relationship with Warner Brothers, and it's a Canon Warner title.
Is MGM involved in it as well?
I don't know if they have partial rights, but it doesn't matter. Arrow's been real chummy with Warner Brothers. So.
I was going to say that it's because a lot of the people that worked at Shout now work for Arrow, and they're taking.
And what did they just do that probably did very well for them? Because I think they sold out of them. The Demolition Man from Warner Brothers and them. So I think that's what this is.
It could very well be.
Because my guess is that Cobra is the next biggest seller for Warner Brothers of a Stallone title.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
And salute to you, Steven, deleted scenes. Yes, Cobra. Who knows? It could be the
could be something else. Could be something else completely.
I was also I saw the Cobra, and I was thinking Karate Kid, but I was thinking, nah.
No, it's a golden Cobra, which I think that's to throw us off, but I'm just putting two and two together going like, they've had a pretty good relationship with Warner Brothers, and Cobra's probably the next biggest Warner Sylvester Stallone title, besides Demolition Man.
Is there a Cobra in that one? I think it's Warner Brothers, but with the Michael Douglas, is it Black Rain? Is that what it's called?
It could be that. I don't remember. Is there a Cobra?
I know he fights I think he fights the Yakuza in that.
Oh,
they typically have the Cobra tattoos on them and stuff.
I think I heard that did get a scan, so you might be onto something there actually.
I don't know. I haven't seen a Black Rain thing in a while, so. But I think I don't know. You're probably right though. Cobra's.
I might be way off. I mean, I guessed Conan, but I think I was wrong on their last one.
Mm-hmm.
But I already knew about Conan, so that was kind of cheating. Otherwise, I think that was it. I probably missed something. Rumor about Commando coming to 4K.
Oh yeah, which I hope we get the director's cut of that one. Because that thing's hard to find on a Blu-ray. You
can get it on imports fairly easily.
Yeah,
that's what I had to do.
Sometimes it's easier to get the imports, or if you know a guy who knows how to.
Well, it's a Fox title, so. Yeah, Disney. I guess they're allowing some of the Fox titles out. I don't know. Maybe. Because I did hear a rumor that Big Trouble in Little China is possibly going to be getting a release sooner or later here. So, and that's one of the only John Carpenter movies left. So
yeah, Shout had that one.
They did,
but as we know,
I have no idea what's going to happen with that.
Exactly.
My guess is actually Disney might release it themselves. So
wouldn't
Strangers with Candy was one of the other rumored, or not rumored, but it's coming from Shout.
Oh, is that TV series with that woman?
Yeah, the movie, but
Oh,
the
the
movie
movie.
of the TV
Yeah.
series. But
Yeah. I can't think of
weird
that
chick.
woman's name, but yeah, the weird. Yeah.
It was
All
all
right.
right show. It was kind of weird, but and then Snakes on a Plane is also rumored. I think we got everything covered. Somebody in the chat thinks we missed something. Let us know. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, will probably come out with the first one too. It sounds like.
Are these going to be Kino, the Ace Ventura, and the Mask?
I don't know who owns those right now, because the funny thing with those is they are Morgan Creek titles.
Mm-hmm.
They were initially released by Warner Brothers. Then, when Morgan Creek, I think, ended up retaining the rights back to all these movies after, like, I think 20 or 25 years is what it was. Then they moved all over the fucking place. So, like, that's why the one guy I talked to was correct about Young Guns 2, and I kind of hinted that we might not be getting Young Guns 2, at least not now, because they don't have the rights to Young Guns 2 sorted out, because that was a Warner release, but Sony now has all those Morgan titles, or Morgan Creek titles. Because there's a few that are left over at Warner Brothers, like Robin Hood and a few others that are still there no matter what, because they must own them. But like the ones that now Morgan Creek owns, like Ace Ventura 2, Major League 2, Major League 1 was another Morgan Creek title, but it was released to Paramount, and Paramount owns that one, but they don't own 2 and 3. So yeah, so go figure, right? Like, they're all over the fucking place right now. I think they had a distribution deal with Sony last I knew. So it could be anybody. They could go with Shout, they could go with Arrow, they could go with anybody they want, but they've got some good titles there.
Cowbunga said he saw an Instagram post that said "Shout for Ace."
I wouldn't be surprised, and if that's the case, then Shout's probably going to be all of them.
Yeah.
And hopefully that means we'll get like Young Guns 2 and some other ones down the road. I wish it was somebody else other than Shout, but
me too. Kino, because since they're like putting out the Wayne's World,
Arrow or Vinegar Syndrome would be my druthers, but
yeah, that would be better. Yeah. All right.
Either way, Warner's probably going to be doing, as far as the Warner titles, they'll do the scans for those. As far as the other ones, I don't know. Like Morgan Creek, I don't know who will do those. Last I knew, Sony did them, so maybe they did 4K scans years ago, so they might already have them sitting on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. Hopefully they'll turn out well, and hopefully Ace Ventura won't be edited for modern audiences. So...
That was the other thing I was curious about, because the Blu-ray and the DVD were that extended cut that was on VHS, and most people don't realize another one where it's just like 1 or 2 scenes, but the theatrical cut is a little shorter than the version we got on video, or that we know on video. So unless you saw it in theaters, you didn't see that other version. Or maybe if you watched it on HBO, it had the original version. I don't remember, but
yeah.
So it's only like 5 minutes difference, if that, not even. And I think the one bit is mainly the scene. It's like an extension of the scene where he's in the tank doing all the impressions. I think that's an added bit there, and some other just like little bits here and there.
Right.
So first of all, will we be getting the actual theatrical cut, or the director's cut, or whatever you want to call it, extended cut? And or will they cut something or two out for fucking modern audiences?
Which I hope
because that movie has some issues with that kind of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny. People, it's comedy. I do like
Finkel is Einhorn.
Einhorn is Finkel. Speaking of which, Butts Unplugged says hello from the UK. Love the name. I just Butts Unplugged. I saw the name there.
You might know some of the movies I'll talk about later. Butts Unplugged.
Finkel's Einhorn. Einhorn's Finkel. Your gun is digging into my hip.
Do you have any more of that gum? No, I don't. And I'd thank you to stay out of my personal business. And Battle Beyond the Stars is also coming from Scream and Shout Factory. I'm not surprised on that one. That's a Corman one. And I think that when they released the Blu-ray last time, it was from a 4K scan. So
yeah.
That's probably long overdue. But I think that's about it.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
All right. Well,
unless I forgot something.
I don't think you did. I think you've got everything we hit the nail on there. Enjoy your rest there, John the Beagle Dad. He's going to go to bed, but you keep listening until you fall asleep to the sounds of physical media. So
take care.
Yeah, take care, man. And with that, Tom, go ahead. Let's see what you got for your first pick.
I'll start. Should we start with the Easter business?
Oh yeah. Do you want to do the one?
Well, I'll do the one, and then we'll do the one together. How about we'll do the bounce, and then because we kind of have a similar title.
Yeah.
I got this box set here. This is actually a pretty good price for a box set of what is it?
Family films.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's actually more than that because you get like All Dogs Go to Heaven 1 and 2.
Oh.
And I think you get the Pebble. Okay, you get Pebble and the Penguin and Secret of Nim, but you don't get Secret of Nim 2. But you do get both All Dogs Go to Heaven films. Okay. So I think there's like 10 movies altogether in here. So yeah, it's like stuff like the Pebble and the Penguin, Secret of Nim, Greatest Story Ever Told, The Page Master, Black Stallion, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Igor, All Dogs Go to Heaven 1 and 2, and Fiddler on the Roof. And I watched only one movie in here this time. And that was The Greatest Story Ever Told for Easter. And, oh, well, it shows them all here on the back, see?
Is this all the Blu-ray? Okay. I didn't even know
they're all Blu-ray.
Like
yeah, they're all Blu-ray. I can't get it to... There we go.
There you go. Nice.
Or maybe it doesn't have the Page Master on it.
I was gonna say I did see the Page Master.
Oh, that's All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. That's what that is. I thought it was Macaulay Culkin for a second there from the Page Master.
Yeah.
Which it could have been because these are like a mix of MGM and Fox titles. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Because this is when Fox and MGM were doing their thing. So anyway, I watched The Greatest Story Ever Told, and I guess from what I found out about this movie on this disc is they done lost the negative or destroyed it.
Oh boy.
It flat out says it right in the beginning of the movie that it's that dreaded. This scan was made from the best available materials.
Existing elements.
Existing elements. That's what it is. Yes, sorry. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here we are with, and it doesn't look the greatest.
Mm.
The Greatest Story Ever Told does not look that great, considering I think it was shot on 70 millimeter, which really sucks. But my guess is it was probably tapped so many times that they destroyed the negative from making so many prints of it. Because it was a very popular film when it came out, and I'm sure it got re-released every year, every other year for many years. Mm-hmm. But what is it? It is a 3-hour epic about Jesus, the life of, from his birth to his death. Crams it all into 3 hours. It's pretty decent. It's got Max von Sydow as Jesus, and it's got a mess of other famous actors all throughout. God, the list is so big it'd take me forever to go through it. But you got people even like Roddy McDowell and what's his face who plays Dr. Loomis. I just forgot his name. Donald Pleasance is in it. I mean, shit. There's tons and tons of people in this movie. It's decent. It was kind of the definitive version for many years until we got some more modern takes on it. But
right,
it's kind of light, I would say, for the most part. I guess is one way to put it. It's very kind of. I don't want to say it's footnotes because it sucks because here's my issue with it. It's an older film, so I get that, and older films are always paced and edited and presented differently than what we're used to for modern films. I have no issues with that. Right. But when you got a 3-hour biopic or epic biopic or whatever the fuck you want to call it, or Bible pic, sorry, I'm to swear while I'm talking about this. That's kind of blasphemous.
Swear away.
But it's like, no, but I'm sitting here going like, why are you wasting all this time on just an establishing shot where nobody is saying nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got so many shots in this movie where they're just falling in love with just rolling through scenes and not saying crap, and just it feels like, okay, unless these are things that are just in the roadshow cut, which I believe this is, so it's the longest cut there is or whatever.
Yeah.
That if those things are excised in the other version, then great, because yeah, you don't need them. It's just it throws the pacing of the film off.
Yeah.
Because you're just okay, let's get to what's going on here. Because otherwise it feels like you're kind of wasting real estate. But Charlton Heston's also in it. He's great as John the Baptist. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not.
No, I've seen like on TV. I've never like actually watched it all the way through, but I've seen it like Easter, when they play it and you see it on TV.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw it at least a half a dozen times.
I do want to say something real quick. I love this. This is Michael Calio. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the Anchor Bay guy. He says, F Shout Factory, long live Anchor Bay. He said he just saw my text. Next week, I'll join if you still want me. Of course, we want.
Of course, we do.
We'll
and do you know that I'm infamous over at Anchor Bay, sir? Or I mean, Shout Factory?
Yes.
They hate me. They hate me with a passion. They blocked me from ordering stuff from their site. And I was a whale. And they still shut me off. Yeah, because they didn't like what I have to say. The truth.
That's why we say long live Anchor Bay. They got some good stuff coming.
Hell yeah, Anchor Bay was the bomb. You guys, I remember falling in love the moment. The first Anchor Bay thing I got was that double cassette of the Nightmare on Elm Street remaster, and that's still my favorite stereo mix or surround mix of A Nightmare on Elm Street. And then from there on out, I mean, shit. I still have some of my Anchor Bay classic DVDs just because there's only certain special features that are still available there and stuff like that, and we'll get into that kind of stuff later. But anyhow, no, this movie was decent. It was fine. I wish it looked better. Sounds all right though, because you know they had the old, it's that old sweeping stereo kind of, you know, where it's all over the friggin' place sometimes, but sometimes it matches what's going on screen. But it was where they would place the mics in weird places just to get a stereo effect. So it's like listening to a record album sometimes more than it is watching a movie, if that makes sense. Because you got people coming out of the left channel and right channel sometimes for no good reason, but then other times it works just fine because they're on the right side of the screen. And yeah, it's just, you know, just kind of goofy sometimes. But other than that, I just wish we could get a better version of this, because this is the kind of movie that would be like, yeah, it deserves a 4K release, but if they don't have the elements to do it, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? Yep.
Yeah. But the passion scene in this one is probably one of the shortest ones I've ever seen in any of the films. And speaking of, I think that might segue into
one of the longest passion scenes in the film.
Yeah, some may say it's even overindulgent in some ways.
Overindulgent. Joe Bob Briggs himself said it's one of the greatest gore horror movies ever made. But the Passion of the Christ from Mel Gibson here for Easter. You know, we get some of the Easter titles out of the way here. But yes, this is one of those, you know, with Jim Caviezel, Mel Gibson, and depending on how you feel about it, we can pray for it. Depending on how you feel about it, this, I mean, it's actually a pretty good movie, you know, and mine doesn't have the English dub. I was actually going over that after you said that. It does not have the English dub because I was looking through it. But yeah, so basically, this is the story of Jesus in his last days up until his crucifixion. And he does get brutally. I mean, from what I understand, it's very Catholic, you know, as well. But Mel Gibson was telling a story, and it does get very gory. With this one here that I have, The Passion of Christ, which I should have mentioned this in the video I did, because Netflix supposedly edited out the beginning Bible verse for this, and it was like 13 seconds of blank screen. Why? I don't know, but apparently I think it might be back now because people, you know, got upset about it. But like,
you're watching a movie about Jesus.
Don't ask me why they edited it out. I don't know. It makes no sense to me, but I think it's back up there now from what I understand. I don't know. I don't have Netflix, so I have physical media. But one of the things I probably should have mentioned in my video when I was talking about it is this Blu-ray that I have here, this version, also has the edited version of the film where
the public friendly version,
the public friendly, a little more PG-13-esque. It you know, it doesn't have the beat down.
They wanted a version they could show in like Bible schools and in churches, in actual churches and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So it doesn't have all that in it because it's got two versions.
They didn't need little old ladies passing out. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it does get a little exhausting once he's getting whipped in everything, you know, it does. So I can understand some people, you know, like the little church ladies and all that, wanting to, you know, not pass out.
These are the same women that walked out of The Exorcist going, "The devil's in that movie,"
which sold that movie even more. Because you got them coming out, people going,
yeah, so like you got to be careful with these people. They're gonna have a heart attack. You show them too much, okay? And just to be clear about the whole English dub thing, that was something we were talking about before the show. So the version that you have has everything you need on it, unless you want the English dub. As far as I know, that's the only difference than the other version. And it was a one-time release. It was the last release they did. But on these, honestly, it's strange because it's the hardest one to get your hands on.
Which is crazy.
And of course, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
And as soon as I end up spending a bunch of money on this dang thing, they're going to turn around and release a 4K version of it. You know it.
As soon as you decide to buy it, that's happening.
Because the second one's coming inevitably. So you know they're going to re-release the first one in 4K.
Yeah.
But what's scary about this is who technically owns the U.S. release rights on this movie?
20th Century Fox, right?
Who is owned by
Disney.
Yeah.
I know it's an independent film.
And it ain't about concentration camps in China, so they ain't gonna let this one pass, probably.
One of the the weirdest things about this is like Monica Bellucci plays Jesus's mother, and it's so weird because I've seen so many movies of her naked. So that's always weirded me out about this movie. Is like I have a hard time watching her scenes in this movie because
kind of like
I've seen her tits. So.
Right? Kind of like in Seed of Chucky when Jennifer Tilly's gonna play Mary.
Yeah. The sequel, yes, because I see Brian Barth asking if we're excited for the sequel, and then Dragonzilla says, "What are they?" It's about his resurrection. It's about the was it 3 days?
It's partial. Yeah. Well, what it is like his whole. Okay, so my understanding, please somebody if they know in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, between the resurrection and all that business, like he went through hell, literal hell.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's mostly what this is about, and then him rising back to heaven and all that kind of business. So I have no idea what to expect or what the plan is. It sounds big and epic, so who knows? I don't even know who's going to release it. I'm sure Mel was probably smart enough to retain any sequel rights because at that time Fox was like, how are you going to make a sequel to this?
Yeah.
Right? Because they probably didn't know. Or they just had the distribution rights and they were just happy to have it because that movie made a mint. Because people forget that until, what was it, Deadpool 3, that was the highest grossing R-rated film. So
yeah. I mean, they even make a joke about it, I think, in part 2, Deadpool 2.
Part 2, and yeah.
Yeah. So she doesn't play the mother. She plays Mary, not his mother, Mary, but she plays the
Mary Magdalene.
Is that who did Mary Magdalene, the prostitute?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
She's basically one of the only female apostles, or really, or I want to look at it.
That makes a little more sense. I always got that a little confused in the movie when I was watching it. But that makes a little more sense.
Exactly how she's referred to as in the Bible, but like, yeah. So the day that Jesus tells her to stop, after he stops the people from stoning her, she follows him from there on out. But the big debate from there on out is, and that's where like Passion of the Christ, or I mean, Last Temptation of Christ comes in, and Dogma comes in. It was their relationship after that. Some people would say that they actually became husband and wife after that.
Yeah, I know there's all kinds of like different theories and stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, she's there, right? She's there. She even goes with his mother Mary to the grave or what. Like she's there the whole time. So like she's there through the whole thing after that. Like I said, she's basically one of the only female apostles, or however you want to look at it. Although she's not considered one, I don't think.
Yeah, she's not considered an apostle.
She did make the travel with a lot of them and went most of the places with them. And yeah, I mean, she's hanging around with a bunch of dudes. And she's a former prostitute. Now, I'm not saying one thing. I'm just saying it was like, you know, I could see where it could be believed, especially if he made an honest woman of her. You know,
and it would, I mean, I know.
At that time, it was nothing for a Jew, you know, because, you know, Jesus was a Jew, and if he's still preaching stuff, they didn't have the set rules of, you know, a priest can't get married kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't really quite established.
That all became Catholic.
Yes, exactly. So, like, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be considered taboo until later, and that's possibly why they removed all that shit. So, who knows? And there's a lot of same thing with Moses. And we'll get into that a little bit here in just a minute.
And then we'll get, you know, I know it's a little religious talk here, but that's okay.
It is a little bit. And I wish we had, it'd be really cool to have had Michelle here.
Oh, yeah. I should have asked her.
Because we could at least direct some of our questions. Because, I mean, look, I was raised Catholic, but I was kicked out of friggin' Sunday school.
I was raised Baptist, is what I was raised.
Oh, boy. So. Oh, boy. Okay. So, like, yeah. So, well, yeah. I had too much fun. I was trying to like be a smart ass and I shouldn't have been. That was my fault.
I was raised Baptist. We were a little more looser than the the Catholics. We, so, yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed the Passion of the Christ movie. Like I said, however you feel about Mel Gibson, however you feel about Jesus and stuff, that's your own personal belief. I'm not going to knock it or
sugar
anything.
tits.
I personally, I am a believer. So, and I may not be the best believer. I may not like Tom's probably had a little more fun than I've had, but I am a believer, and
maybe.
Go ahead.
Maybe I don't know.
I would be
interested.
Pretty
lousy life sometimes.
I would be interested, Michael, because we did talk. He knows Daniel Roebuck. You know the actor Daniel Roebuck. He's a Catholic, and he has directed a lot of faith-based films lately. You'll know him as Grandpa from the new Monsters movies, and he's been in lots of things.
The brand new one.
Yeah, he's Grandpa now, but you know him. You know the actor Daniel Roebuck. So I would wonder how he would feel about this film. I would like to talk to him about that. But yeah, anyways, there you guys have the Passion of Christ.
Of the Crust.
And so if you want to go ahead and get into the next one, Tom, we could just.
Yeah, we both watched.
The fancy.
I do have the fancy one, don't I? Because I have the one with not only the 4K remaster, but the original version as well. And in a steelbook, no less. If you want to see what's on the back, it's Yul Brynner looking masculine as hell. Yeah, so this is a perennial favorite every year, and I highly recommend this 4K. This is the first time I've ever noticed any kind of like DNR anomalies on the movie. I've never really noticed before. There was a couple times I noticed some haloing, but it wasn't that bad. But I mean, considering the age of the movie and all that business, I mean, frankly, it looks amazing. The way it was shot, it was a huge film for the time that it came out. And I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's on TV every year. So, I mean, and I don't know if the version you have there is from the same scan or not, but
I'm not. This came out in 2013. It looks like this was released, and then I have the Ben-Hur.
Probably a little bit older scan, but I know the one that the basis for this was done in 2010, so it like might be.
It says Ben-Hur. I have to blow it up here. Which I know we're talking about. It's like says the 50th anniversary of Ben-Hur. Yeah. And then it's
it's the 2-disc. Okay.
And then 10 Commandments and 10 Commandments is 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, like, from what I remember, like, the basis for this restoration was mostly done in 2010. Is my understanding. So it's possibly the same version, just either a newer scan or whatever they did between those two, or whatever, So I'm sure that Blu-ray looks pretty good anyway. I've not. Yeah,
it does. It does look pretty good.
No, I love the film. It's a great film. It doesn't feel 3 hours long. That's the best part about it.
I mean, it goes. And speaking of the Munsters, she's in it. Yvonne DiCarlo is in it.
Yes, that's correct. So, yes.
Yeah. She's Moses' wife, I think.
Yeah, and it's just a good film. Great cast. Well made. It's even if you're not a biblical person or somebody who's into Christianity, it's easy to follow. Right? I mean, it has just... I mean, you can see where the basis for a lot of heroic or, Christ-like figures comes from between Moses and Jesus, and that's another reason why most people misunderstand Superman. Zack Snyder, excuse me. He's not an allegory for Jesus. He's an allegory for Moses. Get it right.
It's true because like the Schuster, I believe they're
Jewish.
They're Jewish. They took the story of Moses and floating down the river, story of Jesus. That's where it comes from, legitimately. And then over the years, it's people have like misinterpreted it, like Snyder, to be like Jesus. So, yeah. But no, I enjoyed the 10 Commandments. I watch it. Yeah. I even caught myself watching it on TV last week, right before Easter. It's just something about that movie. It is, like you said, it doesn't feel like it's
kind of like It's a Wonderful Life, but for Easter.
Yeah.
Or actually more so Passover is more what it's associated with. And that's because my memory is like every Easter they used to show the greatest story ever told. Right. So that was the thing. So I'm like, in this year I watched both of them on Easter, so it doesn't really matter, but so, but
Yeah. I mean, and it's a good movie. And as speaking of like how we were talking about earlier, I find myself saying Moses a lot when we quote movies and stuff. Like it's like anytime it's like Moses.
Oh yeah.
No, but I mean, it's a great story, and like they mentioned out in the chat, these 10 commandments for the history of the world. Which is also, I love that scene. Only Mel Brooks could do something like that. But no.
And I joked the other morning I made the mistake of watching them out of order. I watched the prequel after the sequel. Because I said Jesus is kind of like Moses too, the second coming.
The second coming.
He's just not as angry.
He doesn't come in and just start killing people like Moses did.
Nah, he doesn't
whipping my buddy.
Much.
You're dead.
Like, because Moses comes down from the hill and he's like, "You fucked up."
Which is why
we got rules here. You can follow these rules. Jesus comes out and he's like, just love everybody, treat everybody the same. And they're trying to read the first the early Testament or whatever, and even Jesus in like I don't know if it's actually in the Bible, but I assume it is because it's in the greatest story ever told, and I know a lot of that's just pulled straight out of the Bible. Where they're sitting there and he's listening to one of the sermons, and Jesus is like, "No, that's not true." No, and then he goes and he just tells it like it is or whatever. So yeah, like for all the stuff that's in the New Testament or whatever. So like, I fucked up and watched them out of order.
Well,
should have watched it the other way around.
The Old Testament is full of that fire and brimstone. That's the hard times.
Exactly.
When they talk about hard times. That was the hard times.
Jesus is just like, can't we all just get along?
Let's make the good times now. You'd have to ask Hollywood why they don't make movies like that anymore.
Oh, dude, Angel's the closest you're gonna find now, because back then, see, that was just a staple, right? It wasn't so much look. For better or worse, you had a large portion of America that was Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was Catholic, Baptist, Lutheran, whatever. A large portion of America, believed in the basic idea of God. What is it? The Judeo-Christian God.
Yeah,
the
Judeo-Christian. Yeah.
This is why I wish Michelle was here, because I'm horrible at theology. And
she's probably asleep now.
No, of course, but I mean, she can at least help out with some of this stuff. But
we'll have to get her on here one Wednesday if she's available.
But yeah, it was just a staple. They used to make these movies all the time, just like musicals and westerns. It was just and family films. These were kind of considered family films in that same reign, because you could take the whole family to these movies, and that's why they were so popular. In fact, The 10 Commandments was not only, I think, the most expensive movie ever made at the time. It also became, I think, the highest grossing film at the time, not counting inflation, because of Gone with the Wind, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So, I mean, it was just a huge film, right? So, yeah, and Ben-Hur did amazing as well. The one you have there, that's another biblical tale. And
which you can also watch for Easter, because
technically,
it does go to the where he gets crucified.
Well, so no, it's just one of those things. They used to make them all the time, even up through like the 70s and 80s. Because I even remember it was like when they did like The Last Temptation of Christ, which was one I wanted to watch again. Like that was kind of the point where things kind of shifted, and Hollywood was like, okay, we're going to take some chances on some non-traditional Christian films in a way. Because like, I would even still consider movies like Last Temptation of Christ and Dogma still positive Christian stories. Because at the end of the films, they are still presenting the idea of faith, right? It's not like they're trying to crap all over it. And the problem with Last Temptation of Christ and Dogma both is that a lot of the people that came out against them never watched them.
Right.
Like, that's the problem. And if you actually watch them in their context, you can see what they're kind of all about. Like with Last Temptation of Christ, it's not so much about what actually happened, supposedly. It's about all the temptation that he went through. It's kind of probably a lot of what the Passion of the Christ 2 is going to be.
Yeah, it's probably,
See, and that's what I'm kind of wondering, is if it's going to be a lot more of that. Because in that movie, and that's kind of the cooler parts of the story, is it starts with, him being betrayed, and the crucifixion gets going, and the whole movie's a crucifixion for the most part, right? But it's him being tempted by the devil over and over again, and then his whole dissension and ascension or whatever you want to call it. And he has this vision of this life that he could have had with Mary Magdalene and kids and all this stuff. And that was what caused this big disturbance in the Force. It's like it's a vision that is given to him that the devil is tempting him with. It's like, you could just denounce your father and you can have all this, right? Exactly what you want, a happy family. Right, what every man would want, like just the normal life, because and like Dogma brings up that point, is like that was a lot for a kid to have to take on, and that's the stuff that they removed from the Bible, because you have a couple of years there where this guy's having to deal with the fact that he's supposedly the son of God. Not only is he the son of God, he is God, right? So like, and I hate giving Kevin Smith credit, but Dogma does a very good job of kind of explaining it all, and I love how it ends up with it's a good idea,
right?
Right. Like that's the whole thing, is like, it wasn't meant to be this thing that it became. And even in like The Greatest Story Ever Told, like they have that great scene where he comes in and he just totally starts flipping all the tables. Right.
Well, it's true. I know that is from the Bible.
Yeah. So as I'm saying, so like, there's that kind of a thing there. Right. So like, anyway, but I don't think they ever meant it to be like this. That's what Jesus was kind of trying to say. Right. Like, it's like my temple is everywhere. Right. I don't want you to create these places where you're just stealing money from people for your own benefit, kind of thing. Yes.
And from what I understand is most Catholics and stuff, they're kind of self-deprecating, whatever you want to say. Like they doesn't bother them.
Self-loathing in a way.
Self-loathing in a way. Like, I don't know if you know the wrestler Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like his big thing is Austin 3:16. Which is taken from the Bible. John 3:16 is like, that's what it's built off of. And he said he was stopped by a Catholic priest in the airport once, and he goes, "I thought you guys would hate me for that." And he's like, "No, we love you. We love that." So, so like I get what I know that's sort of different when you're talking about it, but it's sort of in the same vein as like there still could be found in that. You know what I mean? It's still a good positive message in that, even because you're still getting the word out, even though it's in a different way than how traditionally it's putting out. If that's what
absolutely,
So.
And Passion of the Christ was one of those movies that made a lot of people go back to the church. I know politics in the last few years has made a lot of people go back to the church, and I think that's why Angel Studios is doing so well. As people are looking for those positive messages, and it's one of the few places you can kind of find them where even though it's known for being kind of preachy compared to some of the crap we deal with in the woke world on a daily basis, it's not all that preachy.
No, it's not,
because they don't shame you so much, even though that is supposedly a big part of the Catholic and Jewish religion, for that matter, especially with the mother side of the thing, to guilt and shame you constantly. Yes, you're like, the problem with the Catholic faith specifically, and this is one of my things I loathed about it growing up, is just how much you're always supposed to be ashamed of everything. And it's just but look, at the end of the day, to me, that was kind of counterproductive of what it was supposed to do. And as an adult now, I see it a little differently. But
it's why I think that's why so many kids rebel at that time from the Catholic Church, and then they find their way back eventually. I do believe that happens a lot. All right. Well, peace out. Go watch The Exorcist. Enjoy. I was just thinking about buying that documentary about
good movie. Well, you should stick around, because the next movie I got coming up you might like. Or one of the next ones.
What is that like, it's a William Friedkin on The Exorcist. It's a documentary. I was going to buy that, and I was going to watch that.
I'm not aware of
it. It was made by Shudder, I think, because I saw it on the Blu-ray.
Oh,
I saw it on Blu-ray. I never even know. But
send me the link to that or whatever.
Yeah, I'll show you. It was on sale on Amazon. That's why I was thinking about buying it. Yeah, so I'll find the link. But yes, with that, watch Passion, watch The Greatest Story Told, watch 10 Commandments, watch Ben-Hur.
All right, stick around, guys. Now the rest of the show is just chock full of blood, violence, gore, tits, ass.
Actually, yeah.
Swearing, literal butt fucking. No, not literal, but close to it.
Yes, I will have that.
Go get the butter.
Go get the butter. Why it's so effective? Oh yeah, I have to find that book. It tells a few.
I have one book, but I don't know if that's the one I have. But yeah, I have the BFI book.
He was wondering about. It was all subliminal.
Sort of.
Yeah,
You're not far off. These are kind of most of these movies. I think were movies that Quentin Tarantino would definitely recommend.
Go ahead. Let's move on to your next pick.
Well, you know what? We've been teasing it all fucking night. Let's do this first and get it out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen it for the first time in my entire life. I've never seen Last Tango in Paris. Now I have. And as far as the scan from Vinegar Syndrome, actually, it's kind of one of their side titles. I don't know who put it together. Distrib Pix. Distrib Pix is what it is. It's one of their what do you call it? Labels that they do, but it's basically like a Vinegar Syndrome title here.
Yeah.
The movie looks great, sounds really good. Look, I'll say it does not earn the reputation that it has. I'll be honest with you. I found it much tamer than I expected it to be. And after I watched it, I did a little research, and most people probably only know the BS version of the stories that go along with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but what it's about is, this is a movie that, if you've seen things like American Beauty, it's right in line with that. And I know you would expect it to be more like, I would think it'd be more like 9.5 Weeks or some sexy film. Not really. Because the movie isn't so much, the sex is very secondary in the film, and I'll get to that in a second. Because the movie is actually about people, relationships, why people do the things they do, who they are in a relationship, and how, just, it's really tough to explain. It's one of those movies that I really want to get into at some point and really dig into, because you can see that there's so many fucking layers to it. And the other problem I have with it is like 80% of the dialogue is French. So I have to read most of the movie. So I found myself having to rewind a lot of the time because I was watching the movie and missing the dialogue. But okay, so the movie's about a guy who just lost his wife to suicide, and he's an American kind of stuck in Paris in a way. Lost in Translation is another film that kind of has a lot in common with this. That was the other one I was thinking of while I saw this. So if you like either one of those two movies, you're probably going to like this, but it does have a spicy side to it, obviously. And I would actually say it's better than either one of those two films, to be honest with you. And I did like it, but it's hard. It's a movie that you can't say you enjoyed necessarily. It's because my understanding, Joey, he's stuck in Paris. Yeah. Okay. So like, just to kind of get to the story, because like him and his wife ended up at some point, like 5 years ago, where the story's taking place, buying this hotel. And like I said, before the movie's even started, she has done what she's done. I'm not going to say the word again, so I don't get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And there's a large portion of that is everybody in her life trying to figure out why she did what she did. And in the process of his grieving, Brando runs into this 20-year-old sort of actress, I guess, because her boyfriend is a filmmaker and he wants to make her subject. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what the whole movie is exactly. I mean, I get it by the end of the film. I understood what it was. But I'm like I said, I want to go back into it and really dive into the themes of it and what it's really about. Because I don't think it's what a lot of people present this movie as. Right. Because the big piece of it is because they meet under happenstance. And what it is he's looking at an apartment and she's looking at the exact same apartment, but he's already sitting in the apartment when she gets there. And he's just kind of sitting in the dark, moping. And she's like, well, have you decided to take the place yet? He's like, I don't know. Do you want the place? Well, they just start fucking. Like out of nowhere. And it's like, but I mean, it makes sense if you see the movie, right? Like they have this real tumultuous, like, first moment that happens and they separate and then they keep coming back together again and again and again in the same place. But Brando's whole thing, and this is where the whole crutch of the story is because of his grieving and everything that he's going through in his real life, he wants to escape everything that's out there. So when he's in there with her, no names, nothing about them personally wants to be said, right? Like they just live like children and in love, right? Like that's his whole thing. And at first she's kind of cool with it, But as things go on, she starts, of course, like most fucking women do, want to get into your personal life. And what's funny about this movie is as bad as this movie has given Brando of a reputation, I'd say it fucking nails women in the relationship status and how they are. And honestly, I hate to say it, you can see this movie is very misogynist, but I think it's for the wrong reasons. And I think it shows just how manipulative some women can be.
Okay.
Because even the woman that does stuff to herself at the beginning of the film without saying the word,
right,
she's not necessarily a victim in a sense that you would think she is. And then by the time you get to the end of the movie, you start to realize maybe the reason she did something was more so that she kind of realized how she effed up her life. And Brando's kind of putting pieces together, and he's just trying to hold it together all at the same time, like he's kind of losing it while losing it in this like whirlwind relationship with this girl that's half his age. Right. And then the girl who's, you know, he's having the relationship with, she wants to know about him. Her personal life is starting to intrude on that life. And she's pushing. And the scene that everybody makes a big fucking deal out of. Okay, so here's what really went down. The director and Brando came up with the idea for this scene without telling her. So it did take her by surprise. She did feel very humiliated by the scene. She was not actually assaulted. It was simulated, but some papers ran with the story because she's French and I think it was translated wrong, ran with the story that she was. So then she had to come out later and fix that, but most people didn't run with that story. They just still run with the lie. So no, Brando never actually physically assaulted her.
Yeah.
The only thing was it was not in the script. It was improvised on the set, and she had no clue it was going to happen. But that being said, she didn't walk away. In hindsight, she said, yeah, I probably should have called my agent. But at the time, it just was what it was. Because later on, this woman, and people blame this movie for screwing up her life and her career. No, I'd say she did that to herself. This movie did in a way of making her like famous overnight worldwide. That part is true. But down the road, she left a bunch of productions over stupid reasons sometimes, some less stupid than others, that's what killed her career. I did a little research, like literally 15 minutes worth of research, and I found all this stuff out, right? Because she did die of cancer like 20 years ago now, or 15 years ago, something like that. So she did die like years. So like all these stories keep running, and a lot of the stories keep running the lie. And that's not what happened at all. So all this stuff was simulated. None of it was ever real. She said that plain and simple, and she was well aware of everything that was going to happen in the script. And she didn't raise any concerns on the day during the scene. It was sprung on her, but she could have stopped at any time. She didn't. She does regret not stopping it. She said that part, but people have spun it into this thing, making Brando out to be some horrible monster and all these other things. But anyway, so the movie gets to this third act climax that you're not really sure where it's going to go. And that's what I love about movies like this, even though it does take some of the typical places that a lot of films that have copied this, I guess you would say, have gone to. And I kind of should have figured that from the start, but I didn't see it coming right away. So the movie does kind of go in this weird back and forth thing between her and him. And this whole idea of, could they make a real relationship work in the real world, or can it only work in this apartment building? And I get it. It's a very kind of artsy fartsy movie in some ways. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very watchable artsy fartsy movie. And not because of the sex and the nudity. It's because Brando is fucking amazing no matter what he does. Plain and simple. The young actress they do have here, she's really good, right? She's got a lot of charisma, and you can understand why this movie is happening the way it is, why these two could clash the way they do, being Brando, even though he's twice her age. He's fucking Marlon Brando, still not fat, right? So he's a sexy Marlon Brando, right? So like, it all makes sense in the movie. And I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay, so everybody made a big to-do about this movie. It's not anything like what anybody's ever said. I enjoyed it in a way that I can't say I enjoyed it like a fun film, but I liked it as a piece of cinema. And I'm like, now I understand why this was such a praised movie for so long, and now it's kind of gotten the shaft over the last few years. Because it's nothing against Vinegar Syndrome, because it actually kind of fits in their repertoire, right? But the only reason it's out by Vinegar Syndrome right now and not given more prestige is because of the reputation that it has. I guarantee you. Because otherwise, this would be treated like any other nearly Oscar-worthy type film that does by any other studio. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be given kind of the 5-star treatment kind of thing. Yeah.
This would be like its 5th or 6th release of the film.
Bingo, in which it's been for years kind of hard to come by. Exactly.
Yeah. It's I would believe it has something to do a little bit with the Me Too as well, like Brian Boyd pointed out, and how with the whole thing.
We cannot hold films by these goddamn standards anymore. And you know what? Exactly. In the film, look, real shit aside, I get that. The actress says, like I said, just do some research and you'll see what I'm saying is true. So like that just goes with, don't believe everything you hear all the damn time. And then on the other side of it is like the part of what she regretted from the film was just how it made her so world famous overnight. That fame got to her. And she said at that point, they weren't prepared for that. She wasn't prepared for that. And there wasn't anybody looking out for her in the drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. She kind of went down that road. So, yeah.
It honestly, it sounds like the fame got to her. Like you said, it sounds like maybe the fame got to her and it messed her up and she was looking for something to blame and maybe let it that way.
This was like bigger, this was like as big as something like 50 Shades at that time. Like, that's what I'm trying to explain. Like, and I hate using that as a parallel because it's not. Right. But I'm just saying, as far as like, and this is the kind of movie that got men and women talking at that time. You know what I mean? It was because it was during the height of the sexual revolution too. So yeah. And
I agree. We cannot keep looking at movies like this through the modern lens. This is what is wrong with so many people and so many critics today, which that may come up later, is that they always constantly looking back at these older movies through the modern lens. And they can't enjoy them. They can't. They're so. I don't know what it is. They have so much pushed on them that they just cannot allow themselves to enjoy these type of movies. It's insane. So,
and again, and at no point did I ever feel like I was being did I ever feel like the movie was being exploitative, or did I feel like I was watching a Skinamax porn by any 9.5 weeks type shit is way more exploitative than this. Because all the sex in here and all the nudity there is, I noticed I was expecting a hell of a lot more. Right? Like it's just so it's not glamorous the way it's presented, but it's not also presented in a negative way outside the butter scene.
Right.
Right. And that's presented in a way like she cries and it's not, but then like a little while later she's fine. So it was just, it was that moment, that experience that they were having. And again, like it doesn't address it ever again in the film. Yeah. So, I mean,
do you think The Last Tango was Brando's last role where he gave a shit?
No. I think there was a couple of movies after that he did care, but it was probably his last real prestigious role other than Apocalypse Now, because I think that was after this, if I remember right. Because this is like 73, so that would be 78, 79 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Remember right? So unless I'm getting my ears screwed up, but
I think you're right.
Because I know George Lucas was initially going to direct Apocalypse Now, and he never did. So
yeah. I mean, I have to see this. Is this sold out yet on Vinegar Syndrome?
Let me look.
I may have to pick this up. There's a couple over there I've been debating.
I also got I got the Wesley Snipes one too, and I didn't get the chance to watch it, but I got the little parachute with.
There's a nice.
It looks like it's still available, I think.
Okay.
Only 444 left in stock, or only 440 left in stock.
I may have to buy one. Oh, by the way, if you go
of drop zone left though.
That might last a little longer. But also, speaking of which, if you go on Vinegar Syndrome and buy the documentary American Expendables on Vinegar Syndrome, I get a special thanks and shout out on that disc. So just be aware if you want to hear somebody give me a special thanks or shout out, because I helped get that movie on there.
And Tim, to answer your question, Bryant was asking about Marlon Brando's last role where he gave a shit, and I said, I know at least Apocalypse Now and a couple other good ones were after that where I would feel like he did, but
yeah.
That's what I was referring to, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. I still have to see that. I can't believe I've never seen this. But like I said, like everybody knows the infamous butter thing, and it's nice to know that it sounds like it was just all blown out of proportion. Truly does.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, he does technically in the story assault her, right? Like the way the scene's set up, he's just laying on the floor eating bread, and it's kind of after some of the, because they, like I said, they kind of have a tumultuous relationship. It's a lot of, you know, crashing into each other between like one second they're fighting, the next minute they're fucking, right? It's a very emotionally driven, passionate relationship, obviously. And look, you could say what you will. There are women who will, look, anybody who's been with a couple of women knows, there are women that will pick a fight with you just to have makeup sex. Because then you're sitting here going, what the fuck is your problem? Or what are you even upset about? And they can't tell you because they just want to start a fight with you.
Yeah.
Or they just want to fight with you. You know, like, so there's that aspect. Like, I love how this movie just explores men and women, the differences in them, the complexities of women in the in complexity, or if that's even a word, or the non-complexity of men, and how easy we are in some ways. And I don't even mean that in a sexual sense, right? It's just that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, because sex is obviously a big part of the movie, but that's not what it's really about. It's really technically about love at the end of the day, what love truly is, right?
And, that's what I was going to say. When you're saying is like, I don't think women or people in general realize how easy men are. And once again, I don't mean like sexual things. It's like, we are truly simple creatures. We are easily sustainable. You see it every here on This Week on the Show. You give us some Blu-rays and a HD TV and you got us. That's it. You know what I mean? It's super. Men are so easy and simple, and I think women work themselves up so much sometimes over trying to be trying to make men.
I'm not trying to make it sound like women that are, you know, I'm not trying to make it sound like they're always doing it on purpose or anything.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes they truly do not understand how easy we are. They think it has to be so much more complex, and they drive themselves crazy over it sometimes. You know.
Well, my favorite is that meme where it's like, what could he possibly be thinking about? And it's like just laying there, and he's like thinking about, you know, whatever the meme you want to put in the little bubble is. Usually, like it's Ninja Turtles or whatever. Like
or something like that. Yeah. That's the thing is like women legitimately are so much more complex than men. They truly are. You know, like the difference between men and women. There's like people like try to tell you men and women are different. I don't care what anybody says. They're different. Women are more complex than men. Men are so much easier. And I think sometimes women drive themselves crazy over that. And men drive themselves crazy over trying to understand women themselves. You know, so that is something that needs to be explored a little more in today's day and age. So, yeah. But I mean, I need to see this movie. I've never seen it. It sounds like it could be an interesting watch, at least.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll like it or not. I mean, again, if you didn't hate movies like American Beauty and Lost in Translation, then you'll probably like it. It's that type of a tone for the most part. But it at the same time, it's its own animal. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of the more of the sex aspect into it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Again, like I said, as you watch the film, you start to realize it's less about the sex, because the sex isn't even titillating. It's shot in a way that a woman and a man could watch it together, and if you wanted to like watch it in that respect, and if it turns your woman on, sure, great. You know, but at the same time, it's not shot in a titillating way that's meant to like make you get off on it like Skinamax crap was. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Like, it's not shot in an exploitative way. It's shot in a very prestigious way in a sense, but it's also showing the sex as very real. Right. It's not romantic in any sense of like the film romantic word, quote unquote.
Do you think it deserves an NC-17 rating?
Not really, not now.
Yeah.
Maybe back then.
I think we've seen worse now than we have seen.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's my point, is like, I'm watching this going, oh, how quaint. You know, like, because that's what it kind of felt like. It's like, shit, I've seen a lot worse shit than this. Not only that, I've seen a lot of the films that clearly ripped this off in some way, shape, or form. American Beauty. But it doesn't have the same theme as American Beauty. Right. It has similar tones to it, especially like the idea of, because at no point is it really like a big, I mean, it does make a point, but it's not like the whole point that Marlon Brando's twice her age. It only comes up like 2 or 3 times in the film, and mostly near the end, if that makes sense. Right. So like in American Beauty, that's all what it's all about, is him getting it's a whole allegory for that and the gay thing and everything else. So like, so like in this film, it's just pretty straightforward. It's just about this. Can you make a relationship work when it's just that mysterious kind of romantic? And again, it's a type of thing that women can also find romantic. Don't get me wrong. Because at first she's all into it, right? Like it's fine with her at first. She's, you know, she keeps pushing, but at first it's fine with her until it gets to the point where she realizes things just aren't the way she wants, and she starts pushing a little harder and harder and harder. And I don't want to give too much more of the movie away, because then I'm going to give away the whole fucking thing. But again, you also have that paralleling with the shit that's going on in their lives at the same time. So like, that's where the whole, you know, story comes from. It's not just them held up in a fucking apartment the entire movie.
Right. Makes sense. All right.
I mean, you don't even understand what's wrong with Marlon Brando until like 20 minutes into the movie, I want to say, maybe 15. Because it just starts out and he's just kind of manic and depressed. And it doesn't really give you an idea of what happened until a point where you start to figure it out. And then they kind of lay it all out as to what happened. And it's kind of in a very visceral scene, the way you kind of figure it all out or find out about it. It's kind of fucked up. And not in the sense that you see any dead bodies or anything, but I mean, it's just how you find out in the way the scene is presented. And you can tell that this was put together by somebody who knew what they were doing. And that's why I want to I'm talking too much about it, but like, moving on.
Okay.
What do you got?
Okay. Speaking of like movies, not even similar at all, but sort of deals with man and woman relationships and is a bit titillating itself. I have Dinosaur Valley Girls from Visual.
Totally in line.
Totally in line, right?
How many dinosaurs are in that? Because I might get it.
There's there's 2 stop motion dinosaurs. And
for 5 minutes or more.
More than 5 minutes. There's like a whole musical number with one called Dinosaur.
Oh, I'm sold.
Punk Dinosaur. What's it called? Dinosaur Punk. It's like a whole where like the girls are dancing topless in prehistoric.
Where do we get this? This is Vinegar Syndrome one?
No, Visual Visions.
Visual Visions.
Okay, so yeah, this it just came out. This is basically
Is this an older film or a newer film?
It's from the 90s.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, this would be one of those movies you probably saw late at night on Cinemax, speaking of which. But what makes this movie, that sets this aside from all those sex type movies, it's not like a movie about sex, sex. It's not one of those type of Cinemax movies. There's actually a story here. It's very cheesy. It's very campy. It's very stupid. Is it a good movie? No, but it's freaking a great watch. I loved it. you know what I'm talking about. So essentially, the guy that directed this is actually, his name is Don Glut, who is a Marvel Comics scribe and a Star Wars novelist. And what I'm trying to get at is what sets this apart from other campy movies like that at that time is he legitimately is a huge dinosaur fan, and he legitimately created these cave women and cavemen's language for the movie. It's just a cheesy low budget TNA flick, and he created an actual cave person language for them to speak in. So like all the cave women, all the cavemen speak in their own language. They don't speak English. He created this. So, but no, it's about this action star from the present who is kind of like in a rut. He's on making his 4th action flick, and he goes to this museum about dinosaurs because he's having these dreams about this girl right here. I'll turn back on that because I switched around. He's having dreams about this girl right here, and he can't figure it out. as you would. And so he can't figure it out. So he goes to this like dinosaur museum with this reporter, and the people that just so happen to be like, you know, the scientists that work there is like, oh, hey, we know you, come back here. We want to show you all this stuff. So they take him to the back and they show him like these like artifacts and stuff. And this one, it's like a token. And he's like, oh, it said if you hold this in your hand or whatever and make a wish, your wish comes true. He's like, oh, I wish I could see the girl. And he's transported back to the past, to this dinosaur. And so there he meets these cavemen and these cave women. There's two tribes that are separate. And he gets hooked up with the women. And he basically, you know, falls in love with the one woman. You get to see a bunch of cave women going around topless. And you get a battle between them and the men. And it's battle of the sexes a little bit. And then eventually, I don't want to spoil too much. I'm going to end up
lots of butter.
There's lots of boobs. There's lots of boobs in it. But no, it's cheesy. It's campy. Like I said, is it a good movie? No, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie. You know exactly what I mean by that. It's a funny movie, and it's just like the fact that this guy went above and beyond this little like late night Cinemax movie and created his own caveman language for them to speak and everything. And then like it's a stop motion dinosaur, two of them. I wish I could play the video, but it's called what is it called? It's something punk. Jurassic Punk. It's called Jurassic Punk. That's what it's called. Jurassic Punk. It's like this 5-minute music number in the middle of the movie.
Now I can tell when this movie came out.
Yeah, it came out a little after Jurassic Park because they mentioned Jurassic Park. So like, yes, it's like this 5-minute music, like MTV style music video called Jurassic Punk, where it's like they're singing the song like Jurassic Punk. It's like a rock and roll punk songs toward this thing, and the women are just dancing around topless, and the animatronic dinosaurs are like chasing them, and they're throwing stuff at it, stuff. So yeah, it's if you like those type of like movies, I think you'll definitely like it, especially if you like the Harryhausen type movies, and because it's got something for everybody in it, you know. But yeah, there you guys have it. It just came out not too long ago, and I managed to get it on a sale, and I was pretty excited. And I don't even know if I showed everything because it does come with like I said, I reversed the cover because the cover, you know, it's that, and that's the original cover art, and then on the inside it's got sticker, dinosaur girl sticker, like you put on your VHS and a poster. So yeah, Visual Vengeance. I've come to like them a lot. They specialize in movies like this, like shot on video movies or movies like that were late night on Skinamax or something like that. So but I saw that, I just had to get that. It's a fun watch. It's a fun watch. Hey, this is the Physical Media Show. We can go from Last Tango in Paris to Dinosaur Valley Girls, and that's what it's all about, folks. That's what it's all about. I have not seen Cave Girl Island. Now I got to look it up. Now I'm gonna have to find that. That sounds like a B movie, Back to the Future with dinosaurs. I'm sold. So I mean, it's basically, this came out. Tom knows, like, once I said it was Jurassic Punk, this was trying to capitalize off of the Jurassic Park thing, as you do. And there's like tons of people in Hollywood and stuff out there. They loved Jurassic Park, and they all like Charles Band, Carnosaur. You brought up Carnosaur, which was from what's his name?
Roger Corman.
Roger Corman. He capitalized off of Charles Band, capitalized off of it with like Prehistoria. Like they were all making their dinosaur movies after Jurassic Park, and they were all low budget, and the dinosaurs were cheesy as crap, but there's something endearing about them. So yeah, no, I saw that, and it's a fun watch. It's a fun watch of a movie. It's goofy, and it's got that woman. Yeah, I can't think of her name. I know, you know, I think she's from can you see, you know who I'm talking about here? I think she's from that doll movie, and
oh, I think I know who you would. Yeah,
and I think she's in the Toby Hooper, what's that, the Mars movie.
Toby Hooper. Oh, she's is she the one?
She's the teacher, I believe. In that,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Karen
okay.
Black. Yes, Karen Black.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinabite. I'm old and
that's
it's
what
getting
I was trying
late.
to think of. It was yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thank
old
you,
and
Vinabite.
it's getting late, and I cannot remember things.
Yeah.
Not Mars Attacks. Now that's going to drive me crazy.
No, it's Invaders from Mars.
Invaders from Mars. Yes. Thank you, Tim Hayes. Thank you. But yeah, there you go. There's Dinosaur Valley Girls.
Boy,
you'll
which
laugh,
direction
you'll
do I
cry,
go?
you'll hurl.
You'll kiss $13 goodbye.
Yep.
Where do I go from here? All right, I'm just gonna do it this way. My buddy Rick sent me this Twilight Zone the movie. It's been a tick since I've seen it.
I might have to have Rick send me that one too.
Yeah, it's out of print. But I'm wondering if we'll get a 4K here sooner than later. Because this seems like one Warner would give to Arrow or Vinegar or Shout or something like that. Yeah, it looks actually pretty good for what it is. This is one of those few times where I actually prefer the 5.1 remix over the original stereo track.
Oh, nice.
The original stereo track's decent, but they really... And I think it's because that track was probably remixed during the early DVD days, so they're really trying to show off. So, like, yeah, it does really have a big difference between the two. But, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's basically a collection of, I believe, are they all remakes of the original Twilight Zone series, or is it like one or two original stories and then like two of them are remakes, I think?
I know there's the Captain Kirk, William Shatner remake one of that.
Yeah. And the one with the kid is loosely based on one of the ones from... Yeah.
I think the one with the helicopter crash, I think that's original. I think that's an original.
That one's original, and then I think, I think you're... So I think the first two stories are original, and then the last two are... remakes of the original show. But you got everybody from like Dan Aykroyd to... gosh, who else is in that? I just forgot. John Lithgow's in it. You know, of course, Vic Morrow was in it.
Sadly.
Yeah.
I get you, Brian Bart. That's another thing I was playing in mind. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Honestly, I was trying to... That's the one thing I couldn't remember is how much they actually... That's the shortest story because they chopped so much of that sequence out. And that's kind of the weakest... And it's like the weakest of the segments, and it is aged the poorest because it does a really piss poor job of presenting what an actual racist is like.
Yeah.
It makes it the classic, like, what like modern idiots think a racist is actually.
Oh, tell me that. You know, I know it's, but that was one of the things that pissed me off about Final Destination 4. Is like, there's literally, they have a guy with a big old Yahtzee tattoo on his arm, and he goes to burn a cross on Bubba Gump's yard in the movie. And it's like, you could tell this is what they think a racist. It's like really bad. But
it's the worst segment. It is the worst segment. And then of course, the highlights being, I mean, the second story is okay. That's the one with Steven Spielberg directed, where it's about the old folks. It's kind of like a rip on Cocoon almost a few years before Cocoon, with Scatman Struthers, where he makes some kids at night. And yeah, that one's okay. It's just, it feels more like an Amazing Stories story than it does a Twilight Zone story. And then you can kind of see where, you know, because I mean, he worked on a lot of TV shows back in the day too, Spielberg did. So, and so did the rest of these guys. So, you know, because I think they worked on like Night Gallery and a few others. Both him and Landis did, I think, and maybe even George Miller did. I don't know, but and then of course, then we got the Joe Dante sequence, which is where it really kind of shows off some of the best design, the best production design, the special effects, and all. Joe Dante really going all out here, with mixing the Looney Tunes aspect into the. And I think this is the one with the biggest twist to it, because if I remember right, the original show is just everybody's scared of this kid, right? Well, so this is a bit more modernized version of it, from my understanding, with all the because I don't remember the cartoon element being a big deal in the original, is it?
Yeah, I don't think they were.
I don't think so,
because
been a
long time. So.
Yeah, so like he's structured his whole world around the cartoons that he likes. So like that's a total Joe Dante thing. And it works really well for it. And It's decent. It's the better of. It's not the best, but it's the better of the three. And of course, the best of is the John Lithgow in the remake of the Shatner classic. There's something on the plane. There's something on the wing. Yeah, and the gremlin in this looks amazing. The special effects, dude. That's the George Miller sequence, of course. And yeah, you know, Lithgow totally sells it as just insane, crazy, going batshit nuts.
Yep.
And how the special effects in that sequence are well done. And then of course you got the wraparound with Dan Aykroyd and whatnot. So no, it's fun. It's a classic. It's held up pretty well for the most part. Like I said, the only segment that really falls off is the John Landis segment.
Yeah.
It has little less to do with what the tragedy of it than it just does. It just, again, it comes off as stupid as it would now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say he recovered from the Twilight Zone.
Sort of, and then he just kind of screwed himself up with picking piss poor projects to do like
later on
Oscar and stuff like that. And taking
Yeah.
one for the team for Beverly Hills Cop 3 and whatnot.
Yeah. I assume him and Spielberg made amends because I know they had that falling out after the court and all that.
I don't know if they ever did.
Wouldn't he wasn't in part 3, was he?
Of Beverly Hills Cop,
or he wasn't in part 3, right?
Neither.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't. No, maybe they didn't make amends with him.
I don't think they ever have.
I don't think they have.
I don't think they've still spoke to this day.
Yeah.
Or at least not in any real capacity outside of what they've had to. Yeah, because that was a big deal, and that went on for years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But yeah, no, I enjoyed that, and thank you to Rick for making that available to me because it's one that's not as easy to get your hands on now.
I had Rick sent me some too that I'm going to be bringing on here soon.
Oh, cool.
Some harder ones to get. Some stuff, you know me, the kind of stuff I like. So,
that's cool. I was gonna say, I wonder if there's some of the same ones he sent me or not. But
I think some of them were. I think some of them are the same. That because he had them, ready for you and ready for me.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, but no, there's a few in there, especially one I've been wanting to see for a long time that actually, doesn't have a real good Blu-ray release. So I'm looking forward to getting into that, and you'll see that when I bring it on. But no, I have not seen the Twilight Zone movie forever. That's what I was thinking about, because like also when I was talking to you about that Friedkin documentary from Shudder, I was thinking about buying the first season of Cursed Films, which they go over the Twilight Zone. That series that they had,
I haven't seen that yet. I've heard of it. I want to check it out.
It's a frustrating series.
Yeah.
I liked it, but it's also like, because like when they do, what was it? They do the Omen, right? They talk about the curse of what happened with the Omen and stuff. And like a big chunk of that episode is they're talking to a guy who's supposedly an exorcist and filming him trying to do an exorcist. Like, can you just talk about the Omen? That's what was frustrating about the show.
I hate it when they do that crap.
I hate it when they do that. Like, the best episodes were The Crow and The Twilight Zone were the best 2 episodes from the first season. I never watched the second season because that first season frustrated the shit out of me. Because, like, I want to know about the movie and what the curse is about the movie. And the only ones they really did a great job on was The Crow and The Twilight Zone.
Didn't they do one on Poltergeist and a couple other ones too?
Yes, Poltergeist is on there too. And then once again, same as like the Omen, they were talking about haunted houses. It was just like, just talk about the Poltergeist, please.
That's because they don't really want to get into the real shit. Look,
exactly.
Pull up the Macaulay Culkin interviews. Let's really dig this shit out here.
Exactly.
Let's get into the dive it deep. We're talking nasty shit here because we all know what happened.
We all know
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you can call it a Hollywood curse or whatever the hell you want to call it. I would call it something.
Yeah,
because
it's true. And that's like the Twilight Zone one. I mean, I love John Landis's movies. I love the American Werewolf from Paris and or London. I mean, sorry, and the Blues Brothers and stuff. But by the end of that episode, you kind of hate John Landis. Because that was probably the best one they did outside of The Crow, which I really enjoyed the Crow one.
That whole thing went down real shitty. And I mean, look, Landis just didn't want to take any responsibility whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame him to a point, but look, it's like, to me, a director is kind of like the captain of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless it's something like a second unit director's job, because that, we could even talk about like that. We could get into the whole Rust scenario shit too. Like,
Yeah.
right. So like I'm saying, like, yes, in that case, that's where I was like, why wasn't the director being looked at all? Like, just because he got shot doesn't mean that he shouldn't be somewhat responsible. Like, I mean, I kind of said that, and some people are like, hey, you shouldn't say it. Like, no, fucking, well, they did to John Landis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like, they didn't tell him, you know, supposedly the whole chain of events is he wasn't told that they shouldn't be flying that low, according to his story.
Mm-hmm.
But they told like the second unit director and a couple other people that, yeah, they were getting a little too dicey.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the guy still said he thought he could pull it off. Well, he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
He got caught up in the fucking wires and shit, and it was a mess. I mean, the video's out. If you want to see the sad fucking video, it's out there.
Yeah, it is.
Because I believe it was made part of the court case, so that was one of the few that have ever leaked out.
Yeah.
So it's there's not much to see really. At the end of the day, you see him running through the lake. It's in a wide shot. And you see the helicopter start coming up over top of it. You see the helicopter start spinning around on its side because it gets caught on the wire. And there's a huge explosion and then nothing.
Yeah.
So you don't really see a whole hell of a lot of anything to where, like, unless you had maybe film. And even then, you'd have to be pretty fucking morbid.
To want to blow that up. Yeah. Yeah. From what I remember, that episode of that is like they talked to everybody that was there. Like they talked to the special effects guy that rigged up all the bombs and everything, and that's for the explosion and stuff. And like, yeah, a lot of them don't like John Landis to this day. A lot
I
of
don't
them
blame him. I mean, it was a stupid thing that happened, and I mean, he should have taken some responsibility for it probably. But if he literally didn't know or wasn't told properly, that's a whole nother scenario. And I haven't seen the episode in question.
Yeah.
I just know what I know of the incident just from over the years. But like, yeah,
it's legitimately the best episode of that first season. And because, like I said, like that episode and the episode about the Crow, they actually focus on the movies and the people that worked on. It's
because they probably have court shit they can actually go
yes,
with. That's why.
And like they have the pictures. They talk about how they actually made a death mask of Brandon Lee, and the stunt double Chad from the John Wick movies. He wore.
Did they
Brandon
actually
Lee's
mean
face.
it as a? Did they mean it as a death mask? Or
No, it wasn't a death. It was like
I was gonna say because actually that's what they call those.
That's what they call. Yeah. But they made it a mold of
that
his
I
face.
knew. I was gonna say he was wearing like a mask. Yeah,
yeah. Like they made a thing of his face, and that Chad Stilinski, whatever his name is, who was his stunt double on the film, wore that in the movie to help finish the scenes. So yeah. But no, I have not seen the Twilight Zone. I have not seen the original TV series in years.
I got the Blu-ray a few years back on a decent deal.
I need to get that and Andy Griffith on Blu-ray. I really need to get those two.
Well, at least they look decent from my memory.
Yes.
Unlike Lucy.
Poor Lucy. Which is
poor Lucy.
Another TV series which I have here that could use I wish would get a Blu-ray. I don't know if it may. Who knows? But if you're ready to move on.
Yeah, I'm done with that. Yeah.
But it stinks. The Critic. I was been watching the series.
I don't have that version, but I have the older release. It must be. Oh, they crammed it on how many discs then?
1, 2.
Oh, you dirty bastards! That's got to look like shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why it's. Yeah, I wish I would have got.
I'm pretty sure it's like 4 or 5 discs. Oh, let me go grab mine.
Yeah, I wish I would have got the other set, which I really do. But yeah, Mill Creek crammed it on this, and I've had it, and I was wanting to watch some of the Critic, and hopefully that gets a Blu-ray release one day because I know John Lovitz.
Well, at least they tell you on the cover that the quality is going to stink.
Yeah, it stinks. Yeah. See, that's the one I want. That's the set I wanted.
So it's got one. Okay, so it's 3 discs. So they crammed 2 discs onto 3.
Yeah, that's the set.
Because the first season was only a couple episodes, and then the second season I think was like 15 or 20 episodes. I think it was.
And they moved it to
from Fox to ABC. I think it was, or vice versa. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is weird because when it moved, I think to Fox is when it got less raunchier and softer, and then
nothing of value was lost.
Unfortunately, yes.
No, it's a good show. Yeah, I wish I had the set you had. I don't know why I don't, and I don't know.
What's your favorite episode?
I don't know yet. I'm
not the Siskel and Ebert episode. That's got
the Siskel and Ebert one's good. It's good.
I love that episode. That's my favorite.
I do kind of like the second episode. I do kind of like the misery episode.
That one's pretty good too.
Buy my book.
That's probably the second best episode. Yep.
Yeah. Those are probably the best ones. I love that in that one too because I've never related to a character so much as I do Jay Sherman.
Why did you do that? He just wants you to buy his book. Buy his book.
A man.
Stop.
A man getting older who's lonely, who just wants to find love, and who loves criticizing movies. I've never related to this character myself. It stinks. And I love the scene in that one where she's like, okay, how about you come to my house and we'll sit in front of the fire, drink some wine, and watch Love Story. And he goes, make it cookies in front of the refrigerator and Eraserhead, and you got a deal.
That sounds like you.
Exactly. So I was like, no, but yes, the Siskel and Ebert one is great, everything. And it's just like, I never realized how many voices, what's her name did like on the show.
Because I think there's only...
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is back then, and this is what people never understood about the whole stupid Apu thing and some of the other things, right? Like the way these shows were set up with their budgets and stuff, like they were only allowed to have so many actors. If you notice and you go back, that's why most of these actors do multiple voices on these shows. Simpsons being a great example of that, where nearly everybody but what's her face, Yardley Smith, is the only person who does not play multiple characters because she doesn't do voices. She just does her own voice. Right. I mean, Lisa's a little bit, she pitches her up a little bit, but otherwise she doesn't do, I don't think she does any other kids on the show or anything like that as far as I know. But between Nancy Cartwright, this other chick that I forget her name, and the rest, they do all the kids. Right. And then, you know, the guy who does Homer does a ton of voices. Frank Azaria and Harry Shearer do the rest of the town. Right. Like, I mean, like, so it's like, and even Julie Kavner does every one member of her family. So, I mean, like,
it's true. It's true.
I mean, that's just kind of how, because you can only pay. So, and that's a lot of times too, where it'd be like, okay, so you got, you know, this guy who does the typical voice of, say, like if it's Ninja Turtles, who does Raphael's voice all the time. Okay, well then this week you got this character and this character. Okay, well the guy who does Donatello do this guy and you do this guy. Right? And that's pretty much, I think, how Bebop and Rocksteady got split up too, because it's two of the guys who do the voices for other characters, right?
Right. Yeah.
Same thing with like everybody but like Splinter and Krang, I think are the and James Avery are the only two that don't do like multiple voices, I think, on the show.
Right.
And I might be wrong about the guy who does Krang. He might actually do multiple voices.
Possibly.
So like that's just a perfect example of that. That's just how it used to work. It wasn't like it was, oh, we need a black guy, oh, we need a white guy, oh, we need an Asian guy, oh, we needed this chick, oh, we needed that chick. Plus, especially with little kids, 99.9 times out of 10, it's a girl. It's a grown woman doing the voice.
Yep.
Like it's just the way that, like, June, what's her foray, did them for years, and all these other great voice actresses did them for years.
Yep.
Like,
Nancy Cartwright does his son.
Nancy is probably one of the most prolific ones to this day, who's been doing boys' voices in cartoons for years. You know, like Bart, you're sitting there watching old cartoons from the 80s, all of a sudden you'll hear that kind of sounds like Bart Simpson.
Yep. Yep. It is. It's just like, shoot, like you'll hear that, like considering what's his name, James Brooks was part of the critic here. You hear Bart's voice a lot in that because she does.
Well, she does the voice of his son and who else?
His sister.
His sister. Yep. And
everybody on the street, like you were talking about, like just about everybody on the street that they walk by. Like you either hear her voice, or the guy playing her dad, or the guy playing her boss, or the guy playing, you know, like you'll hear them, like throughout.
Yeah, like Lovitz and Jack Napier, I think, are the only two who do one voice, and that's it, I think. And I don't even know, maybe Lovitz spread himself out here and there once in a while, but I don't remember. But
yeah, it's a fun show. I've been watching it, and it's just.
I love his boss too. His boss seems like a kind of a prototype for a Seth MacFarlane character almost. Yeah,
he's like a Ted Turner almost.
Well, that's what I think he's based on, basically.
Yeah. And then his friend, his Australian friend,
the Crocodile Dundee guy.
It's Crocodile Dundee and Mel Gibson together.
Basically, yeah.
So it's basically them. And then he's, he's always getting all the ladies and everything. And then, like,
of course, the highlight of the show is always the critics when he would do the actual things. So it was always some random sequel, like Cliffhanger 6.
Yeah.
I think Stallone's just phoning it in.
Oh, I think there was one. As a matter of fact, I think there was like, was that on there? Was that on the critic? It's like, Rocky, whatever. This time he's fighting in heaven or something. He's
I think so, yes.
in heaven.
And then it's like Home Alone 4.
Yeah.
Kevin's like grown. Oh!
Yeah, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow. Oh my God, we left Kevin home alone again.
Not again.
It was great.
And then Jurassic Park, whatever it was, like they were.
Oh yeah. And then also like they did what was the sequel that they did?
They did so many. That's the problem. Is like, yeah.
I know it was like sequel to movies that would never ever get a sequel ever.
Or they did eventually, but they went past it even, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of sad and quaint now. But yeah. I wonder if there's got to be a compilation out there that somebody's done of just all the reviews.
There's got
because they're all like, pretty funny.
They are. So, that was like one of the best parts of the show. Is when
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger had a couple good ones too in there, like Kindergarten Cop, something or other takes on that one. I remember.
The dreidel. I miss
yes, where he was where he was a Jewish. Yes,
where he's a Jewish guy.
I was going to say I knew there was at least one or two of those in there. Yeah.
Oh, that was great. That was a good one.
Wasn't one like "Stop or I'll shoot my mom"?
Yeah, something like that. Stop or I'll shoot your mom. I was trying to think of the stupid movie that he was trying to watch a sequel to, and it's like, why would they ever make a sequel to that movie? That was so funny. I cannot think of it. It was like it's like a romantic movie or something that no way in hell.
Story?
No, it wasn't a love story. It was similar in the vein of Love Story, I think, though.
Wonder would it be really funny is if it was Last Tango in Paris.
I'm sure I missed it.
It might be because now I'm trying to think of the joke, and I think it was. Yeah. I think he's like, how could they make a sequel to Last Tango in Paris or something like that?
Oh man, no.
If not, if somebody else will correct us in the chat, possibly. But yeah, no, it's a great fucking show. It's too bad it didn't last very long. I mean, it was one of those few shows in that era because you guys, for those who are too young to remember. I know some of the older guys in the chat will remember and chime in. Like after The Simpsons came out, we got just bombarded with adult animated shows. And what I mean by, there's that PG rating. You had Capital Critters, you had this. Yeah. This was actually the one that was from the producers of The Simpsons.
Yep.
Oh God, what else? I'm drawing a blank already because there were so many of them. You had Family Dog, which was a spinoff of the Amazing Stories show that they've been trying to get off the ground for years, and the show was fucking wretched.
Yeah,
but the original Amazing Stories Family Dog is hands down the best episode of that show. I don't care what anybody says. But the dog was here. Weren't you? We don't expect much out of you, do we? No.
Good stuff. I miss TV like that, man. I miss TV like that for real.
They got the stereo, Dad. Speaking of, I think who was it who did the kid's voice in that one? It might even been like Nancy or one of those guys. I don't think it was Nancy in that one, but I think she might have did it on the show. But
you never know.
Who did it in the original one? I don't think it was June Foray who did it in the original one. It was somebody who did a lot of those ones. Maybe it's Tara Strong or somebody like that. It was somebody famous because the original one had like Charles Grodin, Annie Potts, and then I'm trying to remember who did the voices of the kids, but they were also prolific. And then they also had oh God, who was it? The one guy who always does. He was the only other guy who did Looney Tunes voices besides Mel Blanc, and I'm drawing a blank now. Anyway, we've gone off the beef and plath, but it's all related to this whole idea that we were just getting bombarded with these animated shows, and this was even prior to Family Guy. That was the second wave, right? Like that was the second wave down the road. That was post Beavis and Butthead and South Park and shit like that. But what has happened to John Lovitz? Well. He just kind of left Hollywood, doesn't really get the offers like he used to, I'm assuming, and unless Adam Sandler calls him, and he went and opened a comedy club. So that's what he does now, as far as I know, and does that kind of stuff. And as far as will The Simpsons ever end? Hopefully. Potentially not, because I think they actually paid the actors for their voice rights when they die or leave the show or whatever. So like they can AI the shit from there on out. Yeah.
That's going to be horrible.
And look, the Flintstones have never died.
No.
Scooby-Doo is never technically, like, look, I know they've been different versions of it, but like Scooby-Doo is a great example of a show that has, in my understanding or my memory, there's never been, since its incarnation, not been a version of Scooby-Doo on the air.
Right.
Whether it was the original show, the
Pup named Scooby-Doo.
Pup named Scooby-Doo. Thank you. I was trying to think of what it was called. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And then the later ones, What's New Scooby-Doo and all that. Like, he was almost a constant. And same thing with the Flintstones and the Jet. They even tried reviving the Jetsons in the 80s. People forget that the Jetsons only had one season originally. And so and same thing with like Yogi Bear, I think didn't even have that many episodes either outside of the original shorts. So like these things stuck around for a while and then they tried to revive them in the 80s and we got a lot more of the shit in the 80s. Like we got more Jetsons episode in the 80s than we did in the original run.
I remember the Jetsons movie.
Yeah, and like you said, like the Flintstones were constantly on in some way, shape, or form, right? Like whether it was Jetsons Meet the Flintstones in the TV movies or you know, the one where he plays the undercover guy, and they even did some theatrical ones, just like with the Jetsons. They did the Jetsons movie, like you said, and the live action Flintstones movie for that matter. But
yeah,
that's outside of what I'm talking about. But like, yeah, no, it's one of those things that like it's not done like it used to be, and I miss it, and I wish they would get. And I wonder if that's why you watch this is because John Lovitz brought it up again.
Yes, because he said there's been talks about maybe making bringing the show back, maybe because he's been asked about it a lot. Because he said that's the most thing he gets asked about is, will you ever bring back the Critic? And you know what? You know, we talk about stuff like that, like, but the Critic would be a great show to bring back. Honestly, with the state of movies today, he would be famous now. He would actually probably be successful in his opinions of movies. Though you could also do it with like he's competing now with people like us on YouTube, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I brought that up before too. It'd be really, and somebody said, I think they did a short-lived net or internet up show for a while on the show. I never saw it. Don't know where it's at or how you can find it. So I have no idea what it was or what it consisted of. But yeah, no, like, I mean, if John is smart, because animation is real cheap now. If he can just get the sign off from James L. Brooks and those guys and just do fake fucking movie reviews as Jay Sherman, that channel would probably be very popular. Like
it would. He wouldn't even need
Twilight
to make up movies.
6.
The problem is there is going to be a new Twilight, so he can.
Yeah, so like that's the problem with a lot of that shit, ain't it? Mission Impossible 17. This time Tom Cruise does die, or does he?
Oh, let's be honest, folks. He's going to live. The mission isn't impossible at all.
It's an impossible. This time he's in space. It's kind of surprising. It only took him 5 more movies than Jason. And I don't mean Jason Bourne. That's the next one we're talking about. Now, the Bourne Identity in space.
It'd be great. No,
Matt Damon plays his character from Bourne Identity and the Mars movie. They cross over. I'm getting so sick and tired of all these crossovers. Kong is versing Godzilla. The Avengers are versing the X-Men. What's next? The Smurfs versus the Fraggles.
It wouldn't surprise me. Six says, what?
Stinks.
Twilight. It stinks.
It's worse than Alien versus Predator 12. Alien is the Predator.
Smokey and the Bandit meets the Predator.
There's a movie I want to see.
Right?
No, the original Smokey and the Bandit 3. That's a like, where is that? Has nobody ever uncovered that bitch to this day? Talk about lost media. That's one that nobody ever talks about. I want to see the original cut of Smokey is the Bandit. Where is it?
Exactly.
It's got to be in a vault somewhere.
Somebody's got it.
Somebody's got it. Probably what's his face? His estate probably.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds' estate.
Not Burt Reynolds.
No, the guy from the Hunger.
Shit.
The sheriff.
Yes. I'm trying to think of his name now. Damn
some bitch.
Yes, some bitch.
What's his name? Some bitch.
Don't you ever show that in public.
I will not be the bandit. Jackie Gleason.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
Gosh, I can't believe I forgot Jackie Gleason's name.
Yes, Jackie. Me neither.
But anyhow, yes, I'm glad you brought that on. The Critic is a great
it's a
show.
fun show. I wish I had.
It does need a remaster as well.
It does. I wish. I mean, this would be ripe for a Blu-ray. I wish I had the set you had. I don't even know how I ended up with this set, but it's the set I ended up with. And
I didn't even know that Mill Creek did a version of that set.
Yeah, Mill Creek set. Sometimes I have these sets and I don't even realize that they're Mill Creek. I have them sometimes.
I just saw that cover and I'm like, that don't look right.
Yeah. Don't ask me, but yeah, the Cisco and Ebert one is great.
I mean, it's close, but it looks like a cheap knockoff. That's the problem, right? Like it's
Mill Creek.
It's all the same pictures, but cheaper, like less colors. It's like, we can't afford all that ink. Make it all blue. We ain't got the money for that fancy Art Deco twist. Just make the picture straight.
It stinks.
Do whatever you can to possibly make it as generic as possible. No, I hate Mill Creek's covers. Thank God they decided, you know what? I don't care if they re-release movies with those fucking covers till the end of time. Thank God they got smart and did that, because as we've pointed out many times, how many bad covers they cover.
Yeah, their slip covers are better than their actual
I would never buy that movie. If it wasn't have that original slipcover on it, they'll tell you what.
Mill Creek actually did do Dawson's Creek. They did it on Blu-ray too. Yeah,
they have done some good Blu-ray sets. I'm not gonna lie. Like the ones that they actually did initially are usually pretty good. Yeah. Now when they get like a reprint set, that's when they start cramming shit on a bunch of discs. Like I guess that's what they did with I Dream of Jeannie, especially the latter seasons.
Yeah. So, yeah. And apparently the Critic, they crammed them all on 2 discs from a 3-disc set. So I mean, it definitely needs it. But no, I never related to a character so much in my life than Jay Sherman. You're adopted. What gave it away? His parents. But it was great. But anyway, that was my last pick. So it's all up to you. Whatever you have for the rest of the night.
Oh wow! So that's all. Okay.
That's it. That's my 4 picks.
My next one, and this is one that Jay would have probably said stinks, is Curse of the Voodoo with Devil Doll. All right. So what is this all about? These are British films, technically. At least that's where they were shot. And it's a Canadian director who went to Britain to shoot movies.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has, okay. So here's the weird thing about these movies. They're kind of basically exploitation films, but they're actually shot very competently and look really decent. And they're very watchable, right? Like, I kind of went with the Voodoo movie first, because going into it, I had no idea what the connection was. I thought, oh, Voodoo, it's got to be a doll involved. So like, I'm halfway through this movie and I'm like, where's the fucking doll? There ain't no doll. So the connection is the director and the star. I found that out. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's the connection here. Because I watched the Curse of the Voodoo one just because that one looked like the one I was going to like least. And it was true. I did like it as much as the Devil Doll one. We'll get to that. But Curse of the Voodoo is actually an interesting little story, though. It's a nice little fast-paced 85-minute movie. And it's about this hunter who is helping with these game hunters in Africa, and they kill a lion on the wrong land. It's actually the Simba people, or whatever they're called, Simbazis or whatever they call them. The people who basically they worship the land and the lions as gods, basically.
Right.
And they find out he killed a lion, which is a big no-no. And not only that, they did it on their land or whatever, so that's a new double no-no. Because what happens is one of the hunters shoots it, but he maims it. He doesn't kill it. He's like, great, now I got to go fucking kill it, you idiot. You know, like, he's like, why? Just let it go. He's like, you can't let a fucking maimed lion run around. Like, you dumb? Like, he's going to go eat everybody and get pissed, you know? Like, what the fuck do you think is going to happen? He's just going to go wild and crazy. You didn't even hit him good enough. So, like, yeah, and then he, like I said, then everybody's like, I ain't going on the land because that's where those fuckers are, you know? And so, of course, as soon as they start looking for the lion, they start hearing the drums. And then after they kill the lion, the guys catch them. And they do this big old, like, fucking, you're going to be cursed thing. They don't say it, you know, it's in their own language. You can tell he's, like, cursing him with some voodoo shit. Right? Yeah. Like, just rambling off some shit, you know? And so then he goes back home to England with his family and stuff, and he got attacked. That's the other thing I forgot. He got attacked when he tried to go kill the lion. The lion attacked him too, and so he's recovering from that, and he heads home, and he starts getting these weird visions and fevers, and his wound won't seem to heal, and he's having marital issues as it was before he left. So it's all these things kind of wrapped up into one. And he keeps seeing these visions of like these tribal men chasing him down and trying to kill him and all this stuff. And so throughout the movie, you're going, is it real? Or is it just him going crazy? And then one of the guys that he was hunting with is actually captured by the voodoo people, at least as far as we know, because it keeps showing him being tortured. Right. And it's like, so he's kind of the vehicle of the voodoo doll. So like at that point, I realized there's going to be no doll in this movie. Because the original title of the movie is like Curse of the Simba anyway. It's not even Curse of the Voodoo. It's only called that in the U.S. for some dumb fucking reason. It makes absolutely no sense. Because voodoo is not once uttered throughout the entire fucking film. Not once. And I mean, yes, it is kind of like a voodoo curse, but it's like, yeah, it's just like they were cursed by doing this thing they weren't supposed to do on this land they weren't supposed to do it on, right? So this guy's like slowly dying or whatever and being chased by these visions and tormented by it. So then I'm not going to get to the end of the film, but like, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to see it, but it has a pretty decent climax. And then after that, I decided to watch the other film, which actually was shot first, which is funny because this film, when it was released, was actually double billed with another movie. I forget the title, but it wasn't Devil Doll. So because Devil Doll came out like the year before, and Devil Doll is actually really good. And I was talking to you about it before the show. Like watching this movie, clearly it had some inspiration on Child's Play and definitely had some inspiration on Charlie Band's Puppet Master franchise. Big time. There's some parallels here, but the basis of the show is about the movie is about this magician who controls this puppet, and he came up with this secret formula way of transferring souls into the puppet, and I'm giving away too goddamn much already. But look, it's a fun fucking movie. And guess what happened in the process of making this? And this is the only time I actually love labels in front of a movie. They found uncut footage from the UK version that had been missing for years that had nudity in it. Because this movie came out in the middle of the 60s. So this is right on the cusp of when. So the US version for years, they took all the nudity out and they actually had alternate shots where the girls were covered up. So they have the other shots still on here as a bonus feature, but they cut back in the original scenes into the movie. But they have to have this thing in the front because they explain that they found this footage in the meantime, and the commentary was done before they found the footage, so they had to re-edit the commentary. That's all it's there for, is just to tell you they had to re-edit the commentary mainly. And I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, so there's that, and so basically it actually extends the film by a few minutes too, actually. So
nice. That's nice.
Yeah, so there's some classic exploitation involved, but so this guy, he gets obsessed with this chick and just working his magic with the doll and all this business. If you like Child's Play, if you like the Puppet Master, you'll like this movie. And for when it's shot, it actually has fairly decent special effects. It's right up there on par with like a good Twilight Zone episode.
Nice.
As far as like, and both of these movies feel like they could be a Twilight Zone episode, actually.
Maybe
they almost feel like extended kind of story. Maybe. I mean, but like, I've never heard of the Devil Doll before, which is kind of strange because of how much I love killer dolls and little rubber monsters and shit like that. But no, I'm glad I picked it up. I was kind of worried about it. It was a blind buy, but I'm glad I did. And it looks really good. Both movies do. They're both from the 4K negative, as far as I know, scans, but they're just standard Blu-rays. But even still, they look really good. They're both black and white films, so. Don't get much in the way of extras, just a couple interviews, but with not any, I think only one person that's even involved with any of the films. The editor, I think, of the Voodoo one, and that's it. So, yeah. Otherwise, just critics and whatnot, but yeah.
I would assume, I have to, maybe I should read his book. I haven't read his book yet, Charlie Band's book, but I know his dad was a director, and they were over there in Rome and Italy and the UK a lot. He grew up a lot.
Funnily enough, I think both of these movies, or especially Devil Doll, made more money in the U.S. than it did anywhere else, I guess. Probably. So I'm surprised I never heard of this movie before. So
yeah, I'm surprised too.
And the way they're both shot, they're shot a lot like the Italian type movies where they would shoot I mean, you could tell it was shot in England because that's where it takes place mostly.
Mhm.
But they have a nice spattering of different actors from America and locally. So to appeal, you could tell to appeal and to the American Canadian audience as well as the UK audience. Yeah.
Like like Dealeritis.
Now, I guess this guy has made a ton of movies since, like the list of ones that I read, I'd never heard of. But I guess they're more prolific than even these. I'm like, I don't know how that is because I've never even heard of this, let alone those, but whatever. But no, I mean, he's a competent, decent filmmaker. So, I mean, maybe I'll look into some more of his stuff. I should probably give you his name just because I keep saying it. They're talking about him and not actually mention his name. Lindsay Shant Left is how it's said, I guess.
Lindsay
Canadian expat producer and incredibly diverse body of work. So yeah, he started out as a producer for years, and I think Devil Doll was his first directing film, and then Voodoo was his second one. So, yeah. But no, like I said, like it's like really decent television, more or less. So like if you understand what I'm saying by that, but coming from the exploitation film, like that's kind of high praise. I mean, really.
Yeah.
And it is clearly exploitation at the end of the day.
That sounds like something I would probably watch. So it would be up my alley.
Would like Devil Doll. I'm not I'm not gonna lie. Curse of Voodoo is really boring. Up until the third act, it's kind of boring. It's like, yeah, let's get to this. Let's. I mean, yeah, some of the only reason it's watchable is because the main star, the guy who's in both movies, I don't have his name in front of me here, but he's actually a decent actor. I guess like he's one of those actors, like a guy actor, like you can kind of just, oh yeah, I can kind of relate to him in a way or whatever you want to call it, to where he's easy to follow. But then he plays the villain in Devil Doll, so go figure. He plays both sides of it with a really bad fake not wig, but a mustache and beard.
Oh, I love that old.
It makes him look a lot like Andre Toulon.
I'm telling you, yeah, I would probably like Devil Dolls. When you were describing, I figured I'd probably like Devil Dolls, and I'm
watching this thing going, this is like Puppet Master before Puppet Master. Like it's like a predecessor almost. It's really weird. It's like it almost would work with retroactively as a Puppet Master movie.
It's retro Puppet Master before retro Puppet Master.
Retro Puppet Master. I can tell you're getting tired, so let's move on.
No, you're fine.
Because we're going to talk a little bit more about this next week. So let me just talk about the technical aspects.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Show what you got.
So yeah, I did get to watch this today.
Yeah, lucky bastard.
And I have this version, and I have this version, which I'll get into, and these are all different versions.
I have that one.
Well, this is still, in my opinion, the definitive version to have. Because this is one of those few director's cuts where I feel like the added scenes, because it's only like 6 minutes, it's not really that much, where I actually feel like the added scenes add a lot to the story, or they kind of need to be there in a way. So yeah, and this also has a few things that don't carry over ever again onto any other version, besides the obvious director's cut. You don't get the commentary, because that doesn't carry over, because that's clearly edited for the director's cut, and he talks a lot about the director's cut in it, so why would they have that on the other version?
Exactly.
And it also has a timeline of the Earps, which is not on the Blu-ray, and it also has a copy of the Tombstone newspaper with all the accounts of what happened at the OK Corral. So you're missing those three things on every other version, but other than that, everything has been carried over, like the 3-part making of, which is basically just a recut of old EPK footage into kind of a loose, I wouldn't even call it a making of.
Right.
It's just more or less them talking about the movie. Like, that's the problem. And I'm going to get into that a little bit, maybe here more so, and we'll just talk about the movie itself and stuff like that next week. Because this movie has a very tumultuous history, for those who don't know. In fact, there's like almost like a 3-hour cut of this movie that exists out there that I know people have seen and stuff like that. And it lost its first director, and supposedly Kurt Russell directed the film. I would say he more or less co-directed the film. Because clearly George P. Cosmatos, who came in later, he did clearly direct the movie. And as he's talking about the movie in the director's commentary, you can tell. And everybody has come out in recent years and said, no, all that other shit is not true. He wasn't just there doing whatever. He was actually directing. But I do think that Kurt had a lot of influence on what was going on.
Yeah.
But you can tell that George brought a lot of his Italian Western sensibilities to this movie.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I love about this movie, because that's what Tombstone feels like. And we'll talk more about this kind of shit next week, probably, how it feels like a graduation of that. But okay, so then you had this version that was released, I want to say back in 2010. So yeah, so this is 2010. And I guess this version, it looks pretty decent, actually, in my opinion. I might have even been from a 4K scan, and I think it might even be the same 4K scan this is from. I think they might be the same thing, but there are differences. And the difference would be mainly, and I can't confirm that, it's just speculatory, because this does look pretty damn good. And the Blu-ray, and it's almost damn near indistinguishable between this Blu-ray, this one, which does have a remastered Blu-ray, which is a rarity for Disney. Keep that in mind, guys.
Yep.
And I think I know why they did this, because they fixed some problems that were on this version, I guess, that the editor or somebody like that didn't like or caught. And so they let him fix it on this version. Plus, I guess this version either had a few scenes or part of the movie was not aligned correctly because it was shot on Super 35 or whatever. So that's all fixed here as far as I know. But again, quality wise, I did not notice a huge leap in quality. Now I tried to bounce back and forth as best I can. And, it takes me a few seconds to change, more than a few seconds, more like 30, 40 seconds. And then I got to find where I was and do all that kind of shit. But I didn't really notice where this stood out to me like, whoa, or anything like that. But I'm not going to say it's a bad scan at all, right? It looks good. They claim it's a native 4K scan. Sound is the same 5.1 mix that's on here. I don't know why they never included the 2.0 stereo track, which would be nice, but whatever. Heirs can't be choosers, I guess. Yeah. So the quality wise and all that business. Now look, this is sold out. Chances are you're not going to get your hands on this unless you find it out in the wild or you want to pay scalpers prices for it. Don't do that. Yeah, don't. Because there are more of these coming. And it's also getting a standard release. So don't sweat it. If you don't even, especially if you're somebody who doesn't give a shit about steelbooks. Exactly. Yeah. So in that respect, I can recommend it. The price is a little high too, especially for the steelbook. Yeah. Because it's fucking Disney. Of course. Yeah. So the rarity is the Blu-ray is an actual remastered Blu-ray. They did carry over all the special features, but I was actually kind of surprised because normally Disney's MOs, they just throw in the old Blu-ray. Yeah. And to my knowledge, they've never done this before as far as putting a new... Not that I've seen. Yeah. Unless I'm missing one. Maybe they did it for Roger Rabbit, but I don't think they did. Yeah. I don't think they did. But no, I wish I had mine. Mine's due here tomorrow. Says that's the luck of the draw. Just like with anytime I need it, like with Monster Squad or anything. It's like, oh, I get it, but I'll get it the next day. Yeah. And I mean, the director's cut is not a deal breaker, but it would be nice. Even if at least they would have the friggin' scenes on there. You could still at least just cut them out of the... Because I understand maybe they didn't have them scanned in HD at the time, perhaps. I don't know. But they restored the movie when they did this DVD. Then they supposedly did the other restoration when they did the Blu-ray. And now it's supposedly been meticulously restored for this version. So, I mean, is this the best looking version? Clearly. Right? Because it has a little bit more wider color gamut. That I noticed. And as far as I noticed a little bit more clarity, a little bit more depth, a little bit more grain to it, natural grain. Did I notice any DNR or anything like that? No, but it clearly has been cleaned up a little bit. I did notice a little bit of haloing here and there in a couple shots, but not many. But my issue is I feel like this might be an older scan. That's my thing. Just for some reason, my gut, while I'm watching it's going, this just does not feel... Because then I watched Last Tango in Paris right after it. And Last Tango in Paris looks fucking amazing. So, again, it does look better, but only nominally as far as I'm concerned, but it also fixed those other issues. And if you don't have the other version, which frankly, I think you can still get this old one for pretty cheap. Yeah. As far as I know, but you can.
That's what I've like. I never upgraded to the Blu-ray because I had that the Vista Series DVD one,
which doesn't look horrible, but it is an older disc,
yeah,
right? So it does have a very soft looking picture. Because I watched it with the commentary, and I'm like, I'm kind of surprised at how good the color is on it. To be honest with you, and that's the other thing is I almost feel like while I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, clearly they didn't like do this in like 4K or anything like that because that didn't even really exist then. But they might have done it at least 720p, I want to think, maybe. So you would think that those deleted scenes at least may exist in some sort of HD format to where I could care less if they just convert them. But they kind of need to be, like, they're, once you see it, like, you'll miss them. I mean, you know they're there, they're supposed to be there. And the one that I miss the most is the 2 Val Kilmer scenes, right?
Right.
That and the Michael Rooker scene almost feels like it should be there. To the point where the director was so pissed that they had to lose it because of time. That he actually has one of the other characters say who it is when they find his body because he was afraid that his body was so mutilated the audience would know who the fuck it was.
Right. It does. Yeah.
Because you see the whole scene just before that where the cowboys bring him in and he's like, "You sure you don't want to come back to us?" And he's like, "Nope, I don't want to scare women and shit like that."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, you didn't think about one thing. How are you going to get back?" And then which one? I can't remember which one. It wasn't Curly Bill, but it was the other one that puts a double barrel shotgun to his face.
Johnny Ringo?
No, not Johnny. The other one. Oh shit.
Stephen Lang's
Clanton,
character.
one of the Clanton brothers.
One of the Clantons, yeah.
The Stephen Lang character, I believe. Yes. And he's like, so he's clearly shot him in the face with the shotgun, is what happened. And then they drug him by his horse back to the rest of the guys. So like, yeah, that's one of the main scenes that's kind of needed. And the Kilmer scene is not so much necessary as it is, for one thing, like his girlfriend just fucking disappears in the movie.
Yeah.
Nobody really notices that. She just fucking disappears. Because there's a whole scene where she's leaving that's cut out. So unless you're paying attention, you might not notice it, I guess. But like, now that I know that's when I noticed it for the first time when I saw the director's cut. I'm like, oh yeah, she does just kind of fucking disappear. She's like, poof, gone.
Yep.
This explains it.
No, but it's one of the most, like we talk about, quotable westerns. It's probably one of the most popular westerns of all times.
I'd imagine so.
There's just something about this movie that is just, it's weird how it's been ingrained into every man.
Well, and it's funny how infinitely I know, and it's funny how infinitely quotable it is because we mostly quote Val Kilmer's lines, and I noticed this time out, he doesn't really have all that many lines in the movie. I mean, he doesn't talk a lot. I mean, he does when he talks, it means something.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, he does have some banter scenes, don't get me wrong, but compared to the rest of the cast, I mean, he's only got a few major lines throughout the film where he just kind of pops in and says something here and there. I mean, he's present, but you know what I mean? Like, until the Johnny Ringo scene and certain scenes where he's dying and stuff like that, he's not the focal point so much anymore, you know? Right. So it's, you know, and then you got the great stuff with Kurt Russell and, you know, the setup there. I mean, this is just a brilliant fucking movie. Sure. Is it historically accurate? No. But is it artistically accurate? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's the feeling. I mean, there's so many intricacies that went into the whole fucking Earps versus the Cowboys thing that, yes, Costner's movie probably does a little bit better job of it. But in fact, I mean, that movie I talked about last week didn't do a horrible job of some of the shit either.
Yeah.
Of the Billy the Kid stuff. So, you know, once in a while you'll run across these. And I do think this does a fairly decent job on certain ends. Yes, it does take liberties, but frankly, this is how I think most people want to remember this story. So. Yeah.
Plus, it's so much more entertaining than Wyatt Earp. And I know you liked Wyatt Earp when you rewatched it again, but it's just so much more entertaining than Wyatt Earp. It's just a fun movie.
That whole movie feels like Costner's a little too far up his ass. And for those who don't know, the only reason that movie exists is because of Tombstone.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that story.
Yes, and it's like that one clip I played with Kurt Russell here, where he's like, "I'll be in your movie, you'll be in my movie,"
Yeah,
and then he's like, "No, we're not going to do that." It's like, "Fuck you, we're going to kill you with our movie then." So yeah.
Well, I think Kevin had an idea that was probably going to happen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, but
he
I
got
wish
too self-indulgent.
That's Kevin Costner for you. It's not that he's bad; it's just sometimes he's a little self-indulgent. I really wish I had mine. This week we'd be talking a little more about it because I just it sucks. What could I say? I just for whatever reason mine's coming a day later. Just for whatever reason, it's the luck of the draw. I did get mine for a little cheaper than the $50 that they started as. I got it cheaper than that. So, but it's an incredible movie, and like you were saying, like Val Kilmer, I think it's just the testament to his acting and his ability in that movie is like even though he doesn't say as much and we quote him as much, it's such an impactful moment when he's on screen and when he says stuff that's just what we've latched onto throughout the years. And matter of fact, the whole like friendship between him and Kurt Russell, like they are the movie. Them two are the movie, and when it does come to his death scene, it does kind of like. It loses something in the movie, but luckily you're coming to the end of the movie, so you know what I mean. It's not like you're missing too much. So,
right?
Yeah.
That's another true aspect of it. Is he's not in like the last 20 minutes, but he's in the main climax.
Yeah,
to the point where Johnny Ringo's kind of the last main guy. So like
yeah.
So we get the great scene of him up on the mountain there, or whatever you call it. No, it's a great fucking movie, and I'm glad it turned out pretty good. I could complain more about it if I really, really, really wanted to, but I wouldn't be surprised if we find out this is from a slightly older scan.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, I'll be glad to have it. I'll be glad to have it. What's up, Juan? Glad to see you again. No, I'm not saying White Earp is bad. It's not really my cup of tea because I always found it boring. But I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
I want to check it out again. I watched it for the first time. What was it, last year? The year before, one of the two. And it was all right, but I could see why most people prefer Tombstone, and I too preferred Tombstone. And I like Kevin Costner, right? So, like, he's one of my guys I'll watch movies with. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't hate Kevin Costner or anything, and it's not. And once again, like I was saying, I don't think the White Earp movie is a bad movie. It's just I always felt it I could never make it through it all the way because I was so bored out of my mind watching it.
Well,
With
and especially
I was just so much more interested.
And look, I love Dennis Quaid from Here to the Moon, but Val Kilmer kicks his ass as fucking Doc Holliday. There's no compare. Like, I mean, that is one guy. Like, come on. I don't care if the rest of the movie got nominated for anything, maybe for costumes, but like. Fucking Tombstone, if anything, Val Kilmer should have been nominated for that role.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
Like, how did he not? Like, that is just pure. Like, he went to the depths of depths to do that. Like, he did a dead fucking accent for that fucking role. For those who don't know, he's doing a southern gentleman accent that no longer really exists. Like, he had to go find some old dialect coach who still knew this old, because he knew exactly where he knew, he did such a good job of, because, Val was a method actor. So he just did a deep dive into anything he could find out about Doc Holliday. And when he found out where he was from and that he kind of grew up in this sort of prestigious family and found out the kind of accent he would have had, he sought out this guy. And that's why he has that way that he talks.
Yes.
So he said, he goes, I just copied this gentleman. I didn't talk as slow as he did because he talked so slow that by the time he would get done with a sentence, the movie would be over.
Yeah, I saw that.
But like, he took that, he sped it up a little bit. Like it's that, and it is kind of that hoity-toity, I'm better than you kind of thing that he has, and that's where him and Johnny Ringo come up against each other. And I'm sorry, I could talk about this movie for. I like.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie. It's incredible.
Yeah, the two like of them, facing off with each other and how they're so much equals, and how even he knows that Johnny's could kill and would kill Wyatt, right? Like even though in reality most people are pretty sure that Wyatt is the one that killed him, but because not only that, the Doc Holliday was way clear out like halfway across the country at the time that Johnny Ringo died or something like that. Because him and Wyatt actually had a falling out over I can't remember if it was his girlfriend or the other girlfriend. I think it was Wyatt's girlfriend, because Doc was a bit of a racist.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, back in the day.
He's a Southern gentleman. What are you going to expect? And I believe, if I remember correctly, because I did a deep dive on this myself a few years back, remember correctly, the girlfriend that Wyatt had, the one that's portrayed in the movie is the one character, she was part Jewish, or half Jewish. Doc didn't like that. And he had made one too many cracks about that at one point or whatever. And in the way he does his things, because I guess that's another thing that's very, very realistic, is how Doc had a zero fucks to give about anybody or anything. And that was one thing, is that Wyatt, he found him funny. He liked him because he found his demeanor and just the things that he would do and say funny. So he's just one of those kind of friends, that guy that you meet, you're just like, yes, I know this guy. He's not a real great guy, but he makes me fucking laugh. Yeah, exactly. He's that friend, right? Like, but he's also one of the most loyal friends you got at the same time, right? It's that guy that'll start the fight, but he's also the guy that'll be right behind you if you get in a fight, right? So, that's kind of who Doc was, and just the way he carries himself as that character is just brilliant, because he makes somebody who is a cold-blooded fucking killer very likable. That's one thing. If you go back through the history, is of all the things we know about because I think we talked a little bit about this last week with Westerns and how they portray, people being killed. Like Wyatt Earp had only killed one person. And I think he mentions it in the movie. He'd only killed like one person before Tombstone. Yeah. The incident at Tombstone. And after they shot his brothers, that's when he went after the bastards. And that shit is mostly true. Like he slaughtered a bunch of them. Yeah. And that is one of the more prolific times. The other thing is that Doc Holliday is known to be one of the most deadliest fucking people in the West. Like he killed more people than most outlaws did. Like even Billy the Kid, I don't even think has close to his numbers as far as Billy the Kid supposedly exaggerated and doubled his numbers. Yeah. So I think that's the other thing. And he took credit supposedly for things that he didn't do, but that's a whole nother discussion. But like Doc, he's one of those motherfuckers where they show it, like that scene that's in the movie is basically what happened in one of the scenes that happened in real life, where the Frank Stallone scene where he kills him, like that happened. And that was that was the reason why Doc ran to Tombstone. Yep. And that happened to him a couple times to Doc. And there was times where he'd get into gunfights where he was so fucked up he wouldn't hit a goddamn thing. But he'd still walk away. That was the thing, is he was usually the one who'd walk away standing every fucking time. And 9 times out of 10, the other guy wasn't. That was the thing that would happen. And he was a deadly shot, though, when he was fucking sober as hell. That's one thing Wyatt Earp did say. That's an actual quote from Wyatt Earp, is like, he was the deadliest shot he ever knew.
It's incredible. Like, you could probably make 1,000 movies on these guys.
Well, Doc was living like he was dying because he fucking was. He didn't give a shit.
He had tuberculosis. He was going.
He caught tuberculosis from his mother, which when his mother died, that was his first huge kick to his, it just totally destroyed him. And then, he fell in love with his cousin before that, and all that shit happened to him. So he had that whole thing happen to him. And his cousin had to go to a convent because of all that shit. And again, this wasn't as taboo back then, and they were from the South, guys. You got to remember. It was more the fact that she was like young and all that business. I think it's implying that she probably got knocked up. Yeah. And probably had it taken care of. But that being said, so he had a pretty tumultuous life. And then when he caught TB from his mom, which she died of, he knew he was on borrowed time the rest of the way. And he drank and smoked like nobody's business. And he would stay up for hours. That's an actual thing that he would do. They show in the movie where where Morgan's like, I can't get him to leave. He's been there for 36 hours straight. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. It really is an interesting story on all these guys.
It really is. And it's just, I would really wish I had my steelbook. I really wish I had my steelbook
Yeah,
so I could watch it.
hopefully you get it tomorrow. I didn't think I was going to get it as soon as I did either, because it didn't ship out until yesterday. So it was funny I got it that quick, but it didn't come with my normal mail. They actually dropped it off. They have the Amazon drop-off guy, because I got the Sonic one the same time, but that was in the mail.
Right.
So, because Sonic 3 came out this week too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, mine said it shipped today and it'll be here tomorrow. So it'll be here tomorrow, right after the show time.
Because usually, don't you get yours usually a little earlier than me?
Usually I do. Typically I get mine earlier than you for some reason. And it just so happened this time I didn't. It happens though. No, but no, you're right. Like the real history of these characters and the movies are just, once again, I know people like Tyrell said he likes Wyatt Earp more than Tombstone. I'm not trying to put the movie down or anything. It's just I just never particularly.
Well, that's the beauty is we have how many movies about these guys?
Exactly. There's like tons of them. Like you even brought on that one movie that you got from Criterion about
the Doc Holliday one, and I mean I even brought on the shootout at the OK Corral. You know, which that's the other thing is it didn't even fucking happen at the OK Corral. Like, it was just because that was, I think, the most prolific place that was like, and it was like 6 doors down from where it actually happened in the alley. So like every movie has always changed that. Even this one changed it. Because they even say it was like, oh, they're hanging out down by the OK Corral. It's like, no, they were in the alleyway 6 doors down from is where it happened. But the one thing that this movie does, and I believe Wyatt Earp tries to do too, is do it as realistically as possible as far as real time, what happened, who got shot, who didn't get shot, how they got shot, where they were standing, all that business. That, as far as I know, is like almost 100% accurate in this movie. Like minute by the second, because the shootout only lasted 30 seconds.
Yeah, it was
and
very
Wyatt
short
didn't fucking move.
Yeah.
And they're pretty sure that the only reason they didn't get charged with murder is because he didn't shoot Ike Clanton when he first turned around and said, I don't have a gun, because that really happened. And then he went inside and supposedly took Behan's gun. So, I mean, there's a lot deeper history. That's the funny thing about this. And even the Wyatt Earp movie, I don't think got into it enough. I'd have to rewatch it again to where how much of a history there was between all these people. Because like him and Behan had a much bigger history than what's in the movie too. Right. So like, because they were both up for sheriff like not too long after this incident, and Behan won, and then Behan ended up fucking deserting the town because he stole a bunch of money. And then it was not Morgan, the other brother, I think, took over. So I think a lot of this stuff, that's the thing, is they mix up some of the timing of these events too. Oh shit, we just lost Greg. He yeeted himself. He'll be back. But anyhow, so yeah. John Ford's My Darling Valentine is a great Wyatt Earp film. Very historically inaccurate, but a great film. Yeah, there's tons of them that are completely historically inaccurate. I mean, and that's the other thing with this story is it's more politics driven. And that's one thing. Because there was also what was involved was, there was a bunch of stagecoach robberies happening at the same time that the Cowboys were pulling off, or cohorts of the Cowboys. And Earp had gotten some money finally from Wells Fargo for one of the stagecoaches that they had recovered for their expenses. And he supposedly, this is speculative, this is what the story was said, is why there was so much beef at the end, was what started that, was that Wyatt offered up the reward money to Clanton and a couple of the other guys if they gave up whoever it was that pulled off the other stagecoach robbery. But the problem was those guys were already dead in unrelated circumstances. So Wyatt never paid up because he didn't have a reason to. So if you believe that story or not, I don't know. But that's supposedly what set off the big dispute between the Clantons and the Earps. But there was already history before that too. So, but yeah. Wyatt Burp. Wasn't that what they call Wiley Burp is what they called him in that American Tail movie, right? Where the hell is Greg? Because I can't end this stream. Yes, Brian. Actually, I brought the doc one with Stacy Keishon not that long ago. And I'm just learning of how bad that movie's been treated over the years from that damned Idealistic Crusader, and how this is still not a very great version of the film, but it's probably the best we got right now. But yeah. So Greg, where you at, buddy? I'm thinking he had some kind of outage of some type. But yeah. Where did you go? He probably can't answer me anyway. I'm surprised he hasn't said anything on his phone. So maybe he's having a major outage where he's at. I don't know. It is getting on storm season too, so that could be. Maybe he's getting some weather or something. I don't know. Yes, Sadie, I know. I wish I knew where he went to. Yeah. You think so? What? What? All right. Well, what else we got? Free Greg. Yeah, let him back on. Yeah. See, Sadie says let him back. Yeah. Let him back, Sadie. Yeah. I'm trapped here forever. I can't get out. I'm stuck in a bubble. Greg did not. No, I'm sure it was some outage or something. That's all. He's answering me now. So lost internet for some reason, trying to get back on through his phone, so he can at least probably hopefully end the show. Yeah. So yeah, yes, Sadie is getting all excited in the background here. I don't even know why. Probably because she's telling me it's time to go outside. It's getting on that time we usually shut the show down about. So yes, hi Sadie says we all yes. Hello, they say Sadie. Yeah, she's gonna try and come up underneath my arm here. So she'll do. Yes, they said hi to you. You want to say hi back? You got to go where people can see you. Yeah. So you go over here. Over there. There you go. There you are. Tom doesn't know what to say. This is why I hate doing shows by myself. I'm giving her some pets right now, Tim. But yes, she gets pets. Yeah, she does. Because she's usually a good girl. It's the cat. He's the shifty fuck. What's the last vampire movie I saw? What was it? Wasn't there one that just come out here recently? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, Nosferatu, I guess, technically. Otherwise, before that would probably be like the Demeter one, as far as new movies. And thank you, Style Section. What made me first that I don't know what to say? Well, I just don't know what to say because I don't know what to talk about. Because I already talked about the movies. When Greg's not here, I don't know who I'm talking to besides you guys. But I can at least see you guys talking. So, where's Kitty? He's right here, actually. Like right here. Sleeping. I don't know if I can tip it down a little bit. You can see him. There he is. See him there? Sleeping on the thing there. Just dozed off. Sadie will end up waking him up here before long. She's getting all excited. Yeah, you are. Right? Wait. Oh, that's way. No, come over here where you were. Or back over here. Back over here. Where people can see you. Over here. Yeah, see? There. Now people can see you. So they know where you at. They hear you barking, but they can't see you. Yeah, Kitty's down there. I might send it to you here in a minute, Steven, if he doesn't get back here soon. But hopefully he should be back in a minute or get on here soon. He's probably just got to sign on through his phone is all. I guess you can kind of see Kitty right there. Part of Kitty. Yeah, the Vamp Files. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. That's right. So what have you guys out there been gotten lately for physical media? Why did I change the room? Well, it's kind of a long story. The short version is I got a new computer desk, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be moving, so I didn't want to drag it all upstairs where my old office was before. So I set it up downstairs instead. But I've been here long enough at this point, I kind of wish I just put it upstairs. But yeah. But I also have that separate section upstairs now where I do Mead Radio, but the computer upstairs is also starting to take a shit, I believe. So, yeah. Let's get physical, yeah. Tom's room reminds me of Time Enough at Last. Is that the one Twilight Zone episode? Bryant says, I managed to get Twilight, Blood Work, Blade Runner, Final Cut, and Last Boy Scout. Those are good ones. Venobyte's last one is Tom Cruise Got Legend on Blu-ray. Oh, I think I got that one right up here. Where'd it go? Or maybe it's over in another spot. Thought I had it handy here, though. Oh, here it is. Legend. Is that the one you got? Or probably it might be this one by now, but I don't know if they still have the hard case ones left. But yeah, I remember when that one came out. Let's see. Which version should you watch? Oh, okay. So yeah, you did get this one. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if I've ever watched both versions or not, to be honest with you. Bryant got the miniseries Earth to the Moon. Night Junkie's been getting to audiobooks lately. Greg is back. Style section just got Long Kiss Goodnight, which I talked about last week.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. So, can you at least end the show from here?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you? Okay, I'm on my phone. I legitimately don't know what happened. My internet
just end the show
cut
if
out.
you can.
Yeah, I will. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. My internet cut out completely. I got to find the end button here. But thank you guys. Like, subscribe, and see you later.